Chapter 6:16. Upon hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Chongyi was taken aback. What did he mean by that? It was purely because he didn't like him. Could it be that this world had changed to killing someone just because they didn't like him? Do you know who you have offended? The poison order of the southern region will not let you off. Chongyi said coldly. He then looked around and continued to speak to Li Zongjiu. If you let me go, I will treat it as if these people were killed by someone else. I will not reveal any information about you. How about that? I guarantee that the poison order of the southern region will not find trouble with you. Chongyi said. At this moment, he also felt a trace of pressure. The blood spirit world around him also began to devour him. Hence, when the energy surged towards him, Chongyi became nervous. Immediately, Chongyi released his energy and formed a layer of defense below him. I will consider what you said. Li Zongjiu nodded. It seemed like a good idea. After hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Chongyi thought that he had a chance. However, in the blink of an eye, Li Zongjiu's figure disappeared from the blood spirit world. What was the meaning of this? Didn't you say that you will consider it? Why did you leave? Hey, kid, don't go. After Li Zongjiu left, the blood spirit world did not disappear. To be precise, in Chongyi's perspective, the blood spirit world's power was still there, trapping him within. No! Chongyi shouted loudly. His elemental energy blasted out in all directions, trying to destroy the blood spirit world. However, all his energy was only integrated into the blood spirit world. Finally, from the soles of his feet, the melting force grew and melted Chongyi. Ah! Chongyi seemed to have fallen into a pool of blood. His flesh and organs were disappearing bit by bit, completely absorbed by the blood spirit world. The entire empty blood spirit world was filled with Chongyi's painful screams. There was not even a single listener. Furthermore, Li Zongjiu had intentionally slowed down the melting speed of the blood spirit world. This way, Chongyi would be able to feel the fear of death even more clearly. Li Zongjiu didn't care about Chongyi at all. Chongyi was probably still wondering if Li Zongjiu would suddenly appear and tell him that he had thought it through. Chongyi didn't expect that since he had already decided to kill Li Zongjiu, why would Li Zongjiu give him the last strand of hope? Li Zongjiu's figure reappeared on the Moonwell Mountain. When Li Zongjiu released the blood spirit world, the blood spirit world would form a force and descend on this space. Looking from the outside, one would not be able to see what was happening inside the blood spirit world. At the same time, the blood spirit world was good at camouflage with the spatial attribute, making it look normal. It was like an illusory wall in disguise. However, it was transparent. One could enter the blood spirit world from this wall at any time. It was just that it was easy to enter, but wanting to leave was harder than ascending to the heavens. If Li Zongjiu did not summon the blood spirit world, the blood spirit world would be hidden in the blood dragon rune on the elemental bead. As the saying goes, a world in a flower. In reality, everything was infinitely big. It was just a matter of whether one had the ability to discover and use it. Come out. After hiding for so long, you want to ambush me? Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Yunqi sighed. The person who came was none other than Li Zongjiu, whom he had met in the Spring Flower and Autumn Moon Tower. He thought that he would not be able to escape this time. Even if he had to die, he could not fall into the hands of these southern border poison sect members. Otherwise, he would definitely be tortured by these southern border poison sect members until he wished he was dead. Once he fell into their hands, one could imagine his fate. It would definitely not be as simple as death. Just when Yunqi thought that he was done for, Li Zongjiu appeared out of nowhere. This was the dream of many people, to be a hero saving a beauty. However, Li Zongjiu came alone. Moreover, he gave people the feeling that Li Zongjiu was not here to save Yunqi. Even Yunqi himself felt a little embarrassed about this. Initially, he thought that Li Zongjiu wouldn't have a good ending. However, when he saw Li Zongjiu kill all the people in front of him in just a few moves, he was shocked. At that moment, Yunqi was shocked. This was too fierce. This young man actually had such powerful strength. When he was in the Spring Flower and Autumn Moon Tower, Yunqi had already faintly felt that Li Zongjiu's strength was extraordinary. Out of caution, he did not attack Li Zongjiu. Now, it seemed that this was a very wise decision. If he had attacked at that time, perhaps Palace Master Yunqi would not have been able to survive until now. He had single-handedly defeated all the people in front of him. How could anyone believe that a mere young man could possess such strength? It was simply beyond their expectations. Just now, Palace Master Yunqi took the opportunity to recover. In addition, the army of night crows in the sky had already been burned to ashes. The bright moonlight also appeared again, causing Yunqi's moon god power to gradually recover. Thank you for saving my life, young master. Yunqi also smiled slightly. However, Li Zongjiu could not see it because of the veil on her face. Thank me. Weren't you the one who wanted to kill me in the Spring Flower and Autumn Moon Tower? Li Zongjiu said disdainfully. This woman in front of him could still smile. Did she really think that Li Zongjiu did not know? When Li Zongjiu was collecting protection fees in the Spring Flower and Autumn Moon Tower, he already knew that there was someone hiding there. Later, when he came back to investigate, he found out that these mysterious women in front of him were all from Zixuan Court. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu did not have much interaction with Zixuan Court because Zixuan Court went down the path of destruction very quickly. Even if there were people who survived, they were probably in hiding and didn't dare to show themselves. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Palace Master Yunqi's face was also a little embarrassed. Obviously, she also realized that Li Zongjiu actually knew about her existence long ago. At first, she did not dare to believe it. However, when she saw Li Zongjiu's powerful strength, she realized that the elders of the poison cult in the southern region did not have the slightest ability to fight back and were directly killed. The whole process could be said to be very calm. There was not the slightest accident, and he killed them all so easily. Even she, who had the strength of a third-grade Yuan King, could not break out of the encirclement. These ruthless people were all killed by the young man in front of her. How could it be easy? I don't dare. Yunqi only wanted to ensure the safety of the disciples of the same sect. If young master did not have any evil intentions, Yunqi naturally would not do anything. This sentence was true. After all, no one wanted to provoke some top experts for no reason. For Yunqi, wouldn't that be making enemies for Zixuan Court? Even if I have evil intentions, what can you do? Li Zongjiu said faintly. There was also a trace of majesty in his eyes. This was the majesty of an expert. Chapter 617. Palace Master Yunqi's expression kept changing. Until now, she still couldn't figure out the purpose of Li Zongjiu's visit. Could it be that he wanted to take revenge? Yunqi believes that young master is a righteous warrior, Yunqi said immediately. Anyway, he had to flatter Li Zongjiu first. At least, people cared about their reputation. The more powerful a person was, the more they would care about their reputation. If Li Zongjiu was praised to the sky, he would probably stay in the sky and refuse to come down. Don't give me that. I didn't ask you to come here for anything else. It's impossible for your Zixuan Pavilion to survive under the pursuit of the poison cult in Nanjiang. Right now, your only choice is to cooperate with me. Li Zongjiu said. A cold light flashed in Yunqi's eyes. How did Li Zongjiu know that they were from Zixuan Pavilion? They didn't come to the city under the banner of Zixuan Pavilion, and they also tried their best to hide all kinds of information about Zixuan Pavilion in order to avoid being traced. However, Li Zongjiu still knew about their Zixuan Pavilion. Could it be that Li Zongjiu was really so resourceful? Even if Yunqi wanted to deal with Li Zongjiu, there was no chance. After all, Li Zongjiu's strength gave Yunqi a sense of oppression. However, since Li Zongjiu mentioned cooperation, Yunqi wanted to see what Li Zongjiu meant first. How do you want to cooperate, young master? So what if you know? We also know Li Zongjiu's background very well. Yunqi thought. I want all of you to gather Zishuan court's forces and tell me all the movements of southern Xinjiang's poison cult. Also, give me all the information about the members of southern Xinjiang's poison cult. If there's any movement, report it to me and I'll naturally ferret them out one by one. Li Zongjiu said. These words made Yunqi's eyes show a hint of surprise and doubt. What was this young man trying to do? Could it be that he wanted to throw away his life? Not only did he not hide from the poison sect of the southern region, but he also wanted to take the initiative to investigate the movements and whereabouts of these people. Wasn't this equivalent to handing his life over to them? This was an extremely dangerous thing to do. You mean, Palace Master Yunqi couldn't help but ask. She looked at Li Zongjiu in surprise. I was just about to kill them all, but I didn't have enough information, so I spared your life. Li Zongjiu looked at Palace Master Yunqi and said. If all of you are unable to be of any use, there is no need for me to act. The southern border poison sect will capture all of you sooner or later. These words were absolutely true. Even though they were hiding in Royal City, they still managed to find them. Moreover, they seemed to have figured out their whereabouts. After all, these people from Zishuan Pavilion already carried a hint of fear when they were being hunted down by Southern Border's poison cult. The other party's strength was too strong, it wasn't something they could easily resist. However, was this the kind of cooperation Li Zongjiu proposed? It seemed that Zishuan Pavilion didn't contribute anything during the entire process. They only needed to organize the collected information and make a backup copy for Li Zongjiu. It seemed very simple. There wasn't any problem. For Yunqi, such a good thing was naturally something she couldn't ask for more. If Li Zongjiu was willing to deal with these people, it couldn't be better. These terrifying people. She could only invite such a terrifying person to deal with them. Don't worry, young master. Zishuan Pavilion will definitely do our best to assist young master. Yunqi said hurriedly. Okay. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Then, he turned around and prepared to leave. Otherwise, why would he continue to stay here? There were still Yuan inscription formations in Bailu Manor to be perfected. Now, Li Zongjiu also knew that he had to prepare to add something to his Yuan inscription formation. It was the camouflage formation. Once this killing formation was activated, the outside world would be able to clearly see the effects of this formation. In that case, wouldn't it be easy for others to study it? The strength of the Yuan inscription formation itself lay in its concealment and unpredictability. Therefore, Li Zongjiu also prepared to perfect it. In addition, there was also that guy, Lu Wenshan. Nantian Pil King was probably preparing the ransom during this time. This guy didn't seem to be so honest. If he made any more trouble, Li Zongjiu wouldn't mind killing him directly. Young master, wait a moment. Palace Master Yunqi looked at Li Zongjiu, who turned around and was about to leave. She quickly shouted. You're leaving too quickly. She couldn't help but think that Li Zongjiu's purpose was too simple. He simply wanted to kill all the people from the poison cult in the southern region. Therefore, he saved her life in passing. He didn't have any other purpose at all. Although her Zishuan court wasn't a top force, it also had its own characteristics. Nowadays, materialistic desires were rampant. If someone helped you a little bit and didn't take advantage of you, you would feel a little embarrassed. What's the matter? Li Zongjiu stopped and asked. Young master saved my life tonight. Yunqi also has something to tell you. Take it as a token of my appreciation. Palace Master Yunqi said slowly. Up until now, not many people knew about this information. Now that there was no one around and Li Zongjiu saved her life, it would indeed be a little ungrateful if she didn't tell him. Say it. The ninth prince, young Master Xian Ming, has already reached an alliance agreement with the Changxing Pavilion in order to obtain the Universe 9 revolving needle. Yunqi looked at Li Zongjiu and said. This was a matter that had caused an uproar in the Holy Flame Imperial City recently. Yunqi naturally had to pay attention to it. Oh. Li Zongjiu only responded indifferently. It even sounded like a piece of useless news. The ninth prince you're talking about is the trash from last time, right? Trash. Although the ninth prince's innate talent was ordinary, but after cultivating the bright moon Zhen Qi, his strength had also advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, his progress was so fast that although he couldn't be regarded as an absolute genius, but he absolutely couldn't be related to this waste. However, in Li Zongjiu's eyes, that ninth prince was just a trash. Now that Li Zongjiu was the strongest, he naturally wouldn't accept any rebuttal. Yunqi also wasn't stupid enough to argue with Li Zongjiu. Yes, it's the one who argued with you last time. Although the ninth prince's strength isn't to be feared, the people from the Changxing Pavilion who came this time are not simple. Yunqi said in a deep voice. The ninth prince's family background was just average. Although he had obtained the identity of a prince and was born noble, he might not be favored by the emperor. Even the position of the crown prince needed to undergo a fierce competition and fight. Before he became the real crown prince, everything was uncertain. Therefore, the ninth prince had no choice but to cooperate with Zixuan Pavilion and Yunqi. Who is it? The pavilion master of the Changxing Pavilion is here? Li Zongjiu asked. The pavilion master of the Changxing Pavilion was naturally a top figure. Even the current Li Zongjiu had to be somewhat afraid of him. For the time being, he couldn't have a conflict with such a top expert. After all, the Changxing Pavilion could become a top figure in the alchemy world. The pavilion master himself had supreme power. Although Li Zongjiu's strength was enough, Luoxia City might not be able to resist him. No, it's the young pavilion master of the Changxing Pavilion, Pei Si. Chapter 618. Young Pavilion Master, Pei Si. Palace Master Yunqi heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Li Zongjiu's expression turn serious. At the very least, Li Zongjiu was willing to listen to her. Pei Si's strength was not simple. On top of that, he was the young pavilion master. Not everyone could go against him. The young pavilion master is just a kid. Li Zongjiu squeezed out this sentence after a long time. Palace Master Yunqi, who was beside him, was also stunned. What did he mean? Could it be that Pei Si, the young pavilion master of Changxing Pavilion, was just a kid in Li Zongjiu's eyes? Was he looking down on Pei Si? It had to be said that Li Zongjiu's temper was really arrogant. Did Li Zongjiu think that only the pavilion master of Changxing Pavilion could pose a threat to him? Did he think that Li Zongjiu was the only one who could make Li Zongjiu avoid him? Did he look down on the rest of the people? That was really shocking. Pei Si should be 25 years old this year. Yunqi did not know how to continue the conversation. If he said yes, wouldn't he be more of a kid than Pei Si? Okay, I got it. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and said. Then, his figure disappeared into the night sky. Yunqi's face was filled with shock and he could not calm down for a long time. Arrogant, conceited, self-righteous. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse to work with such a person. Yunqi was frowning. However, he had managed to escape a calamity tonight. This caused Yunqi to become vigilant. These people had already infiltrated the Sacred Flame Royal City. It was impossible to guard against them. Chongyi said that there was someone behind the poison sect in the southern region. I have to investigate this thoroughly. Now that the city was in turmoil, there were all kinds of people mixed together. There were all kinds of strange situations that could occur. Therefore, in the face of such a situation, if one wanted to survive in this precarious situation, one needed to have sufficient strength and sufficient information. Although the night was thrilling, it was more or less a close call. Palace Master Yunqi could not help but sigh. Her luck was really good. Li Zongjiu's figure flashed and returned to the White Deer Manor. He continued to carve the Yuan inscription formation. After all, the Yuan inscription formation's effect was very strong. In addition, it had a great effect on mental strength. Therefore, he had to replenish it. It might not be a bad thing to use such a method to cultivate during normal times. There must be a concealment array formation. Then, I have to think about what array formation won't conflict with this. As Li Zongjiu pondered, he quickly recalled a type of maze array. When activated, not only could it conceal the situation in the manor, but it could also create a maze effect. In Li Zongjiu's opinion, this kind of thing had a good effect. He would learn it in the future, and then he would study some other formations. After toiling for nearly an hour, Li Zongjiu had just finished carving the origin stones for the maze formation. After he finished setting it up, he was ready to test the effect of his formation. Suddenly, he saw a glimmer of light on the formation plate. This meant that someone had entered the manor. Although Li Zongjiu's manor was not very big, the front and middle courtyards were at least 500 or 600 square meters. It was not small at all. It just so happens that I was lacking a little white mouse, and you came in by yourself. Li Zongjiu thought and was not in a hurry to take action. Anyway, he wanted to try the effect of the maze formation first. He would kill those who did not necessarily break in. Occasionally, it would be a good choice to play with these little white mice in the palm of his hand. Whoosh! A nimble and vigorous figure jumped into the manor with ease. This Li Zongjiu is really bold. Now that he has gotten himself into such big trouble, he still dares to be so relaxed. Even I can come in so easily. If other people want to take your life, wouldn't it be even easier? Dou Ling thought to herself. In order to make tonight's operation more convenient, she had specially changed into a set of night clothes. The exquisite attire also accentuated Dou Ling's figure incisively and vividly, making it hard for people to take their eyes off her. Because of the Universe 9 rotating needle, the city had been very lively recently. Dou Ling had already heard that the people of Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect were here. They all wanted to deal with Li Zongjiu. Obviously, Dou Ling's own information was very outdated, because Li Zongjiu had already dealt with the people of Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect. Therefore, Dou Ling, who had received the news, was ready to appear at this time and give Li Zongjiu a chance. In this way, Li Zongjiu could give the Universe 9 rotating needle to her in such a serious situation. In this way, he could ensure his own safety. At least, he would not be killed by these people. Dou Ling would naturally attract all the firepower away. Therefore, this was also the last chance for Li Zongjiu. Such an action would definitely make Li Zongjiu grateful to her. Moreover, Dou Ling also wanted to show her strength. She wanted to directly appear in front of Li Zongjiu and use this method to tell him that if she wanted to take his life, it would be as easy as turning her hand. Therefore, in front of others, he was a dead man. After Li Zongjiu recognized his position, he would immediately hand over the needle to her. Of course, all of this was just Dou Ling's imagination. Therefore, she came uninvited tonight. Huh? Nothing at all. This Li Zongjiu can't even afford to hire a guard. If he is not around, what if he is robbed? Dou Ling's heart was already starting to get a headache from Li Zongjiu's foolishness. She was mainly worried that her things would not be stolen just like that. However, this thought was completely obliterated by the situation in front of her when Dou Ling took her first step. Whoosh! As soon as Dou Ling took her first step, she immediately saw a thick fog rising around her. When she saw the fog rising around her, Dou Ling was slightly surprised. Where is the fog coming from? Dou Ling subconsciously had an extremely bad premonition. It seemed that the situation in Bailu Villa was not so simple. Whoosh! The thick fog grew thicker and thicker. Dou Ling could no longer see the situation in front of her. When she walked out, she could not even see the wall behind her. Oh no! After a few turns, she could no longer tell the direction. Dou-ling was shocked. Damn it! This is a formation. However, it is impossible for a formation of this level to stump me. Dou-ling immediately released her mental strength. Boom! The fog was completely suppressed. When she looked around, the situation in Bailu Villa was finally revealed. Seeing that her mental strength was effective, Dou-ling's face brimmed with a proud smile. Humph, now you know how powerful I am. Under the tree in the atrium, Li Zongjiu and Shadow Fox looked at the formation plate in their hands. It seemed that the effect of their Yuan inscription formation had been eliminated just like that. In fact, when Dou-ling jumped in just now, the Howling Moon Wolf King and Shadow Fox had already noticed her. But when he went out, he saw Li Zongjiu here. Moreover, Li Zongjiu didn't look panicked at all, so he squatted beside Li Zongjiu. They wanted to see what was going on. Chapter 619. Li Zongjiu looked at the primordial stone in his hand, which was depleting rapidly. Immediately, he widened his eyes in surprise. Damn! What's going on? The intruder isn't weak. There was a grave look in Li Zongjiu's eyes. In just a few moments, the primordial stones in his hand, which were the foundation of the array, were also depleting rapidly. Finally, with a cracking sound, all the primordial stones were exhausted, and the primordial stones cracked on the spot. Obviously, the situation was very bad. How dare you destroy my primordial stones? Let's see how strong you are. Immediately, Li Zongjiu activated the Great Killing Array in White Deer manner without hesitation. Life Destruction Array. Boom! Dou-ling had already dispelled the fog that had gathered several times. Under the suppression of her mental energy, it was very easy to disperse the energy. After nearly 10 times, the white fog finally felt tired and stopped seeping out. Therefore, Dou-ling was very pleased with herself. Let's see what other tricks you have. I'll break them all for you. Just as Dou-ling was feeling pleased with herself, there seemed to be a sudden boom. Countless earth spikes rushed towards Dou-ling. As they rotated, the incomparably sharp aura caused Dou-ling to be quite surprised. There's actually such a strange Yuan inscription array. At this moment, Dou-ling couldn't understand the pattern of the Yuan inscription array. Not only did the ground welcome the terrifying earth spikes, but there also seemed to be meteors falling from the sky. Boom! One after another, the tremors fell from the sky. The moment these terrifying forces fell, Dou-ling's heart was deeply shaken. Dou-ling didn't put up her own primordial chi shield. If she did, she would become a live target in this array. Therefore, Dou-ling displayed her own figure and dodged all these attacks. Bang bang bang. From the stones on both sides, there seemed to be several extremely tough ropes that rushed out and swept towards Dou-ling's head. Swoosh! If these ropes directly hit Dou-ling, her head would definitely be blown off in an instant. However, Dou-ling's speed was also very fast. Her figure flickered and easily dodged the ropes. Swoosh! So close. Just now, Dou-ling had felt that terrifying aura pass directly over her head. She felt as if it could easily split her head off. Fortunately, Dou-ling's bodies. Therefore, when these strange aura attacks from all directions, she was not in hers, is. These two stones are the most. Dou-ling was no fool. She quickly discovered the two stones in the corner. Although they were hidden in the dark and looked like a landscape, when Dou-ling rushed out, the attacks of the surrounding array suddenly became extremely fierce. Rumble! Get out of my way! Countless black steel scythes flew towards Dou-ling. It seemed that with a slight swing, it could directly split a person's head off. However, Dou Ling was enraged. She immediately released the yuan power in her body. Boom! A powerful and violent explosion instantly sent the scythes in front of her flying. At the same time, Dou Ling took advantage of this moment. In this array, after a strike, there would be 3 breaths of time to prepare. It seemed to be buffering for the next attack. Therefore, Dou Ling was able to seize this opportunity. In an instant, she arrived in front of one of the giant stones. Medicine palm. Boom! His palm slammed onto the boulder. Immediately, the boulder in front of him shattered into pieces. The terrifying vibrations caused by the collision caused everyone to feel extremely shocked. The entire White Deer Manor seemed to be trembling. The giant black stone in front of her was shattered into pieces. The power of Dou Ling's palm was not small. In the courtyard, the yuan stone in Li Zongjiu's hand turned into a pile of dust with a puff sound. Since a portion of the formation had been destroyed, the yuan rune array's disc array was naturally damaged as well. What? This time, it was Li Zongjiu's turn to be shocked. It seemed that the person who came was not simple. One must know that this being's obliteration array was a grade 5 yuan pattern array. It was specially designed to deal with Yuan King level elites. Furthermore, Li Zongjiu recalled that this being's obliteration array was based on some principles from 2,000 years in the future. It could be considered the latest Yuan pattern array. Therefore, even an Yuan rune array grandmaster who was still alive wouldn't be able to tell what kind of array it was when he saw the obliteration array. However, this array had only been refined for a short period of time, yet it was almost completely destroyed in one night. The enmity of the grand array, Li Zongjiu naturally could not let it go so easily. This was Li Zongjiu's blood, sweat, and tears. Li Zongjiu had spent a lot of money to create this yuan pattern array. Li Zongjiu was about to set off to settle the score with this fellow. However, just as he stood up, another high-grade yuan stone shattered. This meant that another part of the yuan pattern array had been destroyed. The 2 giant stones in the courtyard had also been destroyed. See if I don't kill you with my sword today. Li Zongjiu's eyes glowed with a ferocious light. Suddenly, he saw a figure descend from the sky with a whoosh. A woo! The Howling Moon Wolf King shot up and chased after the figure. When the Howling Moon Wolf King rushed up, Dou Ling was slightly surprised. However, she quickly threw out a copper ring from her sleeve. The copper ring glowed and instantly wrapped around the Howling Moon Wolf King's neck. Creak! The Howling Moon Wolf King's throat was suddenly trapped. His entire body stiffened in the air, and then he fell from the sky with a whoosh. Bang! A huge pit was formed on the ground. Beast trapping lock. A glimmer of light flashed across Li Zongjiu's eyes. This was an extremely high-grade yuan item. The person who could use the beast trapping lock definitely had a strong background. The beast trapping lock could trap the Howling Moon Wolf King, which meant that the person who refined the beast trapping lock was at least in the primitive emperor realm. Could it be that the person in front of him was an Yuan emperor realm expert? Li Zongjiu, I came to save you out of kindness. Are you trying to take my life? Dou Ling's voice came from the sky. Then, Dou Ling's figure appeared from the house in front of him and rushed in front of Li Zongjiu. Doppelganger technique? Li Zongjiu was surprised. The person in front of him was actually Dou Ling, whom he had met in the Genius Pavilion. Chapter 620. Although Li Zongjiu knew that Dou Ling's identity wasn't simple, judging from her performance today, Dou Ling's strength was beyond Li Zongjiu's expectations. You broke into my house in the middle of the night just to save me? Li Zongjiu looked at Dou Ling in front of him. This girl's strength was really not simple. The Yuan rune formation he painstakingly set up was broken so easily. Li Zongjiu couldn't believe it himself. Then why did you set up so many traps in my house to take my life? Dou Ling's said arrogantly. She originally wanted to show off her strength to Li Zongjiu, but under the threat of Li Zongjiu's terrifying formation, Dou Ling felt deeply threatened. So even now, she still had lingering fears. If the formation was a little stronger, or if someone was controlling it at that time, it would be difficult for her to escape. She didn't expect the outside world to be so dangerous. How do I know if you're here to kill me? Yes. Li Zongjiu said indifferently, then glanced at the struggling Howling Moon Wolf King on the ground. It seemed to be in great pain and was struggling desperately. Then Li Zongjiu walked up and gently tapped the beast trapping lock on the Howling Moon Wolf King's neck. According to the rhythm of a special method, the beast trapping lock was unlocked. Dou Ling observed Li Zongjiu's skillful movements. He seemed to have a deep understanding of the beast trapping lock. The beast trapping lock itself was made in a very special way. Once trapped, unless one knew how to break free, the beast trapping lock would only bind them even tighter if one tried to break free. You actually know the method to unlock the beast trapping lock. Dou Ling saw this scene and was very surprised. However, when she saw Li Zongjiu remove the beast trapping lock and put it into his storage ring, Dou Ling's face turned purple. You shameless bastard! Give me back my beast trapping lock. When Dou Ling saw Li Zongjiu acting like a bandit, she knew that things weren't going well. If this thing fell into Li Zongjiu's hands, then he would definitely take it for himself. You destroyed my Yuan rune formation and 2 upper-grade primordial stones. Take this beast trapping lock as compensation. Consider yourself lucky. Li Zongjiu said slowly. There was a trace of anger in Dou Ling's eyes, but there was nothing she could do in the face of this rascal. You. Fine, I'll give you the beast trapping lock, but you have to give me the Universe 9 revolving needle. Dou Ling said. Seeing that she couldn't get the beast trapping lock back, she didn't insist. Although the beast trapping lock was a precious item, Dou Ling had other things. Besides, Dou Ling did destroy Li Zongjiu's Yuan rune formation. Li Zongjiu already gave her a lot of face by not catching her and teaching her a lesson. Moreover, he only took away the beast trapping lock. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to get their life back. Then you're too late. The Universe 9 revolving needle should have reached the Blackwater Forest by now. Li Zongjiu waved his hand helplessly and said. What did you say? Dou Ling was shocked. She looked at Li Zongjiu in disbelief because she couldn't believe how Li Zongjiu did it. How did he manage to send the beast trapping lock back? The journey to the Blackwater Forest was very long. Could it be that Li Zongjiu also had a doppelganger technique that allowed him to send the item to a place that was thousands of miles away and then come back? How could such an important item be given to someone else to escort? Dou Ling couldn't think of anyone who could do this. Even Dou Ling wouldn't be willing to hand over something so precious to them. The risk would be too great if that was the case. You don't believe me? You can ask the old man in the Heavenly Star Medicine Mansion's library when he comes back. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Looking at the primordial stones in his hand, he began to worry. These primordial stones were very important to Li Zongjiu. 2 primordial stones were wasted just like that. These primordial stones were something that couldn't be bought even if one had the money. Ordinary people simply had no way to come into contact with these primordial stones. Even if one had the money, without the channels, it would be impossible. The last time Li Zongjiu went directly to Qi Shaohun admired Li Zongjiu very much. Therefore, he made an exception for Li Zongjiu and used his authority to get some primordial stones for Li Zongjiu. However, if Li Zongjiu went to Qi Shaohun to ask for primordial stones again, it would be difficult for him to do so. So now Li Zongjiu could only think of his own way. Now that the primordial inscription array in the front yard was destroyed, only the primordial inscription array in the courtyard could still be used. The old guy in the library, it's that guy. I wonder why I haven't seen him these days. Dou Ling suddenly stomped her feet in anger. Since you have transferred the things out, why didn't you say so? Do you know how many people want to kill you now? Dou Ling said angrily. This was a matter of life and death. It wasn't something that could be settled so easily. Now that you've moved your things out, you don't even have anything to sign up for. Maybe those people will get angry out of humiliation and directly kill you. Anyway, these people often use this way to vent their anger. This made Dou Ling very angry. Although these things were very important, in her heart, she didn't want Li Zongjiu to be killed. You should leave with me now. If you continue to stay here, the people of Valley Immortal Sect and Spirit Valley Sect will not let you go. Dou Ling said with a dignified face. She stepped forward and was ready to pull Li Zongjiu away from here. The people you mentioned have been killed by me. Li Zongjiu stood still and let Dou Ling pull him away. Dou Ling who was about to leave, was stunned. You have a fever. You can't be stupid, right? Did you take the wrong medicine? Li Zongjiu looked at Dou Ling's stupid face and directly brought her to the stable. Until now, Elder Lu Wenshan from Spirit Valley Sect still looked like he was dying, but at least he could speak now. You! How dare you! How dare you, Spirit! Spirit Valley Sect! Spirit Valley Sect will not let you go. Chapter 621. After letting Dou Ling see Lu Wenshan, Li Zongjiu signaled Yinghu to close the door of the stable. He seems to be recovering a little. Go and work on him a little more. Li Zongjiu said. Yinghu immediately understood. Then, he took a hoe from the side and directly rushed forward. He hit Lu Wenshan's body a few times and seriously injured the body that was about to recover. You are too cruel. Dou Ling seemed to be unable to bear the sight of blood. She kept retreating. Just looking at the scene in front of her was enough to make people's scalps tingle. How could this guy be so terrifying? He actually directly captured Elder Lu Wenshan. This was incredible. Although Dou Ling didn't know whether that was Lu Wenshan himself, she could feel the strong yuanli that filled Lu Wenshan's body. At the same time, she also knew that Lu Wenshan was an alchemy expert. Although you have dealt with them, there will be a lot of trouble in the future. You may not be able to handle it. So, you should leave quickly. Dou Ling said. Well, I didn't have any good ideas. But since your skills are so good, we can make a deal. Li Zongjiu looked at Dou Ling and said. A deal? Dou Ling looked at Li Zongjiu with a trace of doubt in her eyes. Could it be that this Li Zongjiu has a more powerful needle technique than the 9 revolving universe needle? That's right. Don't you want the second half of the 9 revolving universe needle? There is only one original in the world, but there is still a living needle technique. Li Zongjiu said. Dou Ling reacted quickly. Her bell-like eyes stared at Li Zongjiu in disbelief. You mean, you have already learned the second half of the 9 revolving universe needle? Dou Ling's eyes revealed endless shock. After a long time, her lips moved slightly. Braggart. The universe 9 revolving needles was a needle technique that possessed supreme attainments. Originally, there was only the first half of it in this world. Later on, it gradually spread out. Moreover, there were many people who indirectly confirmed that the second half of the universe 9 revolving needles was in the Genius Tower. This was the reason why so many geniuses were attracted to participate in the assessment of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Just the Genius Tower's grandeur alone was enough to make these students scramble like ducks. Who wouldn't want to experience such a training ground that could infinitely increase one's alchemy level? Even this kind of cultivation method was an unimaginable state that was difficult to describe. It gave people the feeling that one only needed to enter the Genius Pavilion, sleep, and have a very difficult dream. When one woke up, everything would be solved. The treasures in the Genius Tower made these geniuses go through untold hardships, even forgetting to eat and sleep to explore the Genius Tower. The Universe Record. Li Zongjiu opened his mouth and recited a short paragraph of text. Although it seemed simple, the text contained a myriad of meanings. An outsider might find it a little tongue-twisting, but to a true expert, it was undoubtedly as precious as a supreme secret manual. You actually learned it. If an ordinary person wanted to learn the first half of the universe 9 revolving needles, it would take them at least 70 years. This was only possible if they had a certain level of talent. Generally, pharmacists who had some basic talent would be able to learn slightly faster. The Universe 9 revolving needles had a total of 9 sets of Universe 9 revolving needles. The first volume recorded 5 sets of needle techniques, while the second volume only had 4 sets. However, the realm of these 4 sets of needle techniques was quite profound. It even went directly to another level. Although no one had seen it before, it could be roughly inferred. Even a genius would need at least 20 years to fully understand the Universe 9 revolving needles. No matter how powerful Li Zongjiu was, it was impossible for him to recite the Universe 9 revolving needles in just a few days or even directly learn it. This thing is not very difficult, Li Zongjiu said disdainfully. The reason why it was difficult for ordinary people to learn it was because they had not reached the realm yet. In fact, after reaching the realm, these things could be directly mastered. One only needed to look at it once to know what was going on. There was no need to spend more time to understand what the realm was. Therefore, Li Zongjiu only needed 2 hours to directly memorize the Universe 9 revolving needles. This was because the original Universe 9 revolving needles had a Yuan Qi seal on it. It was impossible to copy it, so one could only memorize it through recitation. Li Zongjiu directly memorized it, so now he could easily grasp it. You are too scary. Dou Ling already did not know what words to use to describe Li Zongjiu. Originally, the Universe 9 revolving needles was in Dou Ling's bag because she had already seen all the so-called genius experts in Tianqian medicine manner. Therefore, Dou Ling was not worried at all. However, after Li Zongjiu appeared, he directly overtook her in a few days. If this thing was taken away by others, wouldn't all her efforts be in vain? Moreover, with Dou Ling's temper, she would never allow anyone to be more powerful than her. However, the reality was cruel. Dou Ling also later realized that she could not catch up with Li Zongjiu, so she directly gave up. Now, Li Zongjiu not only got the thing in his hand, but also learned it all. This was already an extremely heavy blow to Dou Ling. One must know that it took her nearly a year to learn the first part of the Universe 9 revolving needles. Even now, she still needed to practice constantly to be able to integrate this needle technique. It was not really a true learning, but at most, it was a preliminary mastery. Tell me, what kind of deal? Let's make it clear first. I am a girl from a decent family, Dou Ling also said with some vigilance. She was not a person who would do any deal. If it was for this thing, there was no need to sell her most precious thing. Li Zongjiu rolled his eyes. This Dou Ling was too impatient. What was there to be concerned about with someone like her? What was so good about an immature little girl like her? After all, Li Zongjiu was an experienced person, not a young lad who had just opened his eyes. Aren't you very good at fighting? Then, for the next month, you can be my fighter. In a month's time, I will teach you the complete Universe 9 revolving needles. Are you serious? When Dou Ling heard this, her eyes suddenly lit up. However, she quickly became vigilant. No, I can't help you kill people. Killing people is illegal, and I can't see blood, Dou Ling said seriously. Chapter 622. I didn't ask you to kill anyone. Why are you so cruel? Li Zongjiu said with a look of disgust. It seemed that he despised Dou Ling's ruthless character. Yinghu saw that Li Zongjiu still had the face to show such an expression. He really admired Li Zongjiu. Speaking of cruelty, who could compare with you? After all, no one could casually split a person in half. Such a magnificent feat was not something that anyone could do. Then you want me to be your fighter? Be my fighter. That means you'll fight whoever I want you to. If someone comes to beat me, you'll help me beat him until he's scared. Li Zongjiu said. That's simple. Dou Ling looked at Li Zongjiu. Fighting was a common thing for Dou Ling Therefore, Dou Ling directly agreed. Li Zongjiu nodded. You can't bleed. If you bleed, I will have to find someone to protect you. You have to be careful. Li Zongjiu said. Just now, Dou Ling said that she could not bleed. Obviously, Li Zongjiu also listened to her. She was so useless, yet she learned to be a night ranger. Originally, Li Zongjiu also had San Tong as his personal bodyguard. However, San Tong was also sent out by Li Zongjiu to practice his skills and improve his strength. He might not be able to return in a short time. In addition, there were so many things happening in the city recently. With Dou Ling's strength and identity, she would definitely be able to help Li Zongjiu. It's none of your business. Dou Ling did not explain why she could not bleed. No one knew what would happen after she saw blood. However, since she had already agreed to be Li Zongjiu's fighter, and it was only for a month, it would be over in a blink of an eye. Therefore, Dou Ling was also looking forward to it. After a month, she would be able to obtain the top 9 revolutions universe needle technique. This was something that she had been dreaming of. Yinghu, arrange a room for her. Li Zongjiu said. Young master, our courtyard is so small. Where can we find an extra room? Yinghu could not help but say. Then let her sleep in the study room or the woodshed. You. Dou Ling heard Li Zongjiu's words and suddenly became angry. She wanted to catch this Li Zongjiu and beat him. How dare he treat her like this? When she was in the family, she had to sleep in the study room and the woodshed. One must know that when she was in the family, she had a mattress with golden silk's peacock fur, 3 layers mattress had 3 layers STSSSS2's was to snows, she, okay. Yinghu replied and then turned to look at Dou Ling When he was about to say something, he saw the faint smile on Dou Ling's face. In addition, she inadvertently blew on her little fist. He had clearly seen Dou Ling's strength before. Even the Dark Knight army could not resist. More than half of the formation was directly dismantled by Dou Ling Even after dismantling the Yuan inscription formation that the young master painstakingly made, the young master did not seem to do anything to her and even allowed her to continue living. This meant that the strength of the girl in front of him was definitely not simple. How about, you, sleep in my room, and I'll sleep in the study room. Yinghu hesitated for a while and even said in a probing tone. What do you think? Dou Ling stretched her body and seemed to be preparing for a good exercise. Yinghu could only say in his heart that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Then, he directly walked into his room and tidied up his things. Yinghu usually had obsessive-compulsive disorder, so the room was neat and tidy. Dou Ling was very satisfied with the appearance. At the very least, the table and the cupboard were spotless. You, from now on, guard the door for me. You're not allowed to go anywhere. Dou Ling pointed at the Howling Moon Wolf King and said. The Howling Moon Wolf King was originally lying in the courtyard. Its shoulder was the responsibility of guarding the entire manor. Now, a woman actually dared to come and order it around. Immediately, the Howling Moon Wolf King revealed its ferocious appearance. It bared its tough fangs and its eyes were filled with ferocity. It seemed as if it was ready to bite off Dou Ling's neck in the next second. On the other hand, Dou Ling very naturally swung a small collar in her hand. The collar also rotated on her slender fingers. When the originally ferocious Howling Moon Wolf King saw this scene, the expression on its face immediately receded. Its mouth full of fangs also directly retracted. At the same time, it obediently wagged its tail and walked to the front of Dou Ling's house. Right on the stairs, it laid down outside. Looking at the loyal expression on its face, it was not easy for anyone to get close to Dou Ling's room. After all, the Howling Moon Wolf King could feel the power of the beast-trapping lock in Dou Ling's hand. When it fell from the sky just now, the Howling Moon Wolf King was severely injured. All of its power seemed to have been sealed at that moment. This feeling caused the Howling Moon Wolf King to feel a lingering fear. A Yuan beast was very sensitive to dangerous things. Therefore, the incomparably ferocious Howling Moon Wolf King directly admitted defeat and acted as a loyal gatekeeper at Dou Ling's door. Purple Pill Institute. At this moment, South Heaven Pill King was also full of hostility. At present, Vice Principal Jing and the others were also gathered in the reception hall. The elder is here. There was a slight change in South Heaven Pill King's eyes. The elder's identity was not simple. He was one of the founding elders of Spirit Valley sect. In the realm of alchemy, he was even more skilled than South Heaven Pill King. Although he had not broken through the realm of the 6th grade yet. But within the next 10 years, he would definitely break through. Not long ago, this elder had managed to successfully concoct a grade 6 medicinal pill under an unexpected circumstance. This meant that this elder's strength would increase by another step. In the end, he would reach the realm of the 6th grade alchemist. If he became a 6th grade alchemist, his status would also rise. This was a matter of no doubt. Elder Tsung Chu, welcome. Vice Principal Jing Yuan had a smile on his face. Looking at the looming figure outside, he hurriedly went up to greet him. However, when he approached the old man, he felt a sharp gaze locking onto him. Beside the elder, there was a black-robed swordsman. Because it was dark, he did not see the black-robed swordsman for a while. Vice Principal Jing, you're too polite. Have a seat. This is my old partner, Black Mountain Sword King. You're Black Mountain Sword King. I've heard a lot about you. Chapter 623. Although the current South Heaven Pill King's alchemy skills were slightly worse than Tsung Chu's, his innate talent was still very strong. Even now, they were almost on par with each other, and the gap between them wasn't too big. I didn't expect the Black Mountain Sword King to come. Pill King Nantian cupped his hands and said. He greeted Elder Tsung Chu. The combination of Tsung Chu and the Black Mountain Sword King was the golden combination of Spirit Valley sect. Although Tsung Chu's combat power was not very strong, he could often exert a powerful force with the help of the Black Mountain Sword King. The two great Yuan monarchs had been inseparable for decades. It was because of this that the reputation of Tsung Chu and the Black Mountain Sword King was like thunder to the ears. Compared to him, Vice Principal Jing Yuan was far inferior in terms of both status and strength. However, this was a rare opportunity. Is your dean not here? Tsung Chu questioned Jing Yuan. As a senior in the alchemy world, there was no need for him to be too courteous with Jing Yuan. Even Jing Yuan himself had to be incomparably respectful towards Tsung Chu. Within the Purple Pill Academy, only their dean could speak with Tsung Chu. Previously, they could be considered to have met face to face. As for Jing Yuan, he had never heard of him. The dean is in seclusion. Jing Yuan's face was also a little embarrassed. Nantian, tell me the situation. Since the dean was not here, there was no need to pay attention to Jing Yuan. So what if he was the vice dean? In Tsung Chu's eyes, he was not worth mentioning. Arrogant, condescending, this was Tsung Chu's attitude. Even Tsung Chu himself had such an arrogant temperament. This was emitted from the inside out. Whether it was alchemy, Yuan Qi cultivation, or even contributions to Spirit Valley sect, they were all incomparable to outsiders. Even Nanshan's status was slightly lower than Sung Chu's. However, Sung Chu wouldn't ignore this South Heaven Dan King. A genius elder like the South Heaven Dan King was highly sought after by all the sections. Moreover, the Longevity Pavilion was eyeing them covetously. Therefore, these people had to unite these genius alchemists. In the future, if they were to compete with the Pavilion of Longevity, they would have to rely on these middle-tier powers. Elder, the current situation is like this, the Nantian Pil King then explained the whole story to them. After hearing this, Sung Chu angrily slapped the table. Too arrogant. This kid is playing with fire and getting burned. Sung Chu could not hide the killing intent on his face. This was a clear provocation to Spirit Valley sect. Such actions were undoubtedly a challenge to their sect's dignity. They could not easily forgive such a thing. They would definitely chop this Li Zongjiu into 8 pieces. Black Mountain, let's go. I would like to meet this Li Zongjiu. Sung Chu said and was about to move. Black Mountain Sword King also picked up his sword and was ready to fight. However, he was stopped by Pil King Nantian. When Pil King Nantian said this, he did not mention that Li Zongjiu had humiliated and blackmailed him many times. He only said that Li Zongjiu threatened him with Elder Lu Wenshan's life and even wanted to fight to the death with them. Therefore, the South Heaven Pil King had no choice but to retreat for the time being. He did not mention that Pil King Nantian had been defeated. If word of this got out, wouldn't it be a very shameful thing? Elder Sung Chu, please calm down. Li Zongjiu is sinister and cunning. Tonight, he even used a Yuan rune formation. Even Fang Liuxin of Valley Immortal sect was defeated. This matter is not simple. Elder Sung Chu's strength was very strong, but his character was too impulsive. He would go and fight with others for no reason, and he would do it until the end. Therefore, the Nantian Pil King had to stop Elder Sung Chu. What's more, the people of Changsheng Pavilion have not made a move yet. Maybe they are preparing to be the oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. Sung Chu calmed down after hearing Pil King Nanshan's words. What happened before was not a big deal. However, the people of Changsheng Pavilion were the ones that Sung Chu was afraid of. If they were confident, they would have made a move long ago. Why would they wait until now? There must be some unspeakable secret behind this. Their Spirit Valley sect was fighting to be the first, wave after wave. If they were to reveal their strength, wouldn't it be a waste of their efforts? In front of such an old opponent, it was better to preserve their strength and not relax. Rescuing Elder Lu will require further planning. What good idea do you have? We can't give 100 upper-grade primordial stones. We won't even give a single lower-grade primordial stone. It was not that they could not afford it. If he were to give it to Li Zongjiu, wouldn't it be equivalent to him admitting defeat? Spirit Valley sect would lose face in the future. In the future, if there was any situation, the enemy would definitely find out and poke at their sore spot. It's not that there is no way. After saying that, the Nantian Pil King looked at Vice President Jing Yuan. We just got the list. 2 days later, Heavenly Pil Pavilion will hold an exchange banquet for alchemists. Li Zongjiu is also on the list. Vice Principal Jing Yuan coughed dryly a few times and said. With Li Zongjiu's strength, it was not strange for him to participate in this exchange banquet. After all, this kind of exchange banquet was also to promote the exchange between the senior alchemists and to better integrate and utilize the resources. Not only were there people from the major alchemy institutions, but there were also some people from the Medicine Union, some independent alchemy experts, some alchemists from the Alchemy Hall, and alchemy aristocratic families. As long as their strength reached the standard, they would also accept the invitation. Heavenly Pil Pavilion did not say that they did not want people like Spirit Valley sect to come. In fact, they did not believe that these people would be willing to participate in such an exchange banquet. They would probably steal the limelight of this exchange banquet. It was also a very honorable thing. Therefore, they were very welcome to come. On that day, Elder Tsang Chu and I went to the banquet to delay Li Zongjiu. Black Mountain Sword King took the opportunity to sneak into Li Zongjiu's house and rescue Elder Lu Wenshan. Nantian Pil King said. The last time I went there, I already checked. In Li Zongjiu's house, there is a Yuan King realm Yuan beast and a mysterious Yuan inscription formation. Nantian Pil King looked at Black Mountain Sword King. Black Mountain Sword King's skinny face did not show the slightest change. His eyes slowly focused, and finally emitted a strong killing intent and a disdainful will. I can kill a mere Yuan beast with one sword. As for the Yuan inscription formation, I can break it with one sword. His indifferent tone was filled with boundless arrogance. It seemed that in the eyes of Black Mountain Sword King, there were no more than 3 swords to solve the world's problems. It was very simple and crude to solve. Alright, since that's the case, it's settled then. Those people from the Longevity Pavilion will definitely make their move during the banquet. It's been a long time since I went to meet these old rivals. Tsang Chu's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke. I'll leave the invitation to Vice Dean Jing Yuan, Nantian Pil King said to Jing Yuan. It's a small matter. Chapter 624. Although Tsang Chu said that it was a request, it sounded like a command. However, it gave people the feeling that it was an order. Although Jing Yuan was unhappy, there was nothing he could do. The other party's strength was so strong that he couldn't offend him casually. In fact, the reason why the Purple Pill Institute could achieve its current status was because of the support of the Spirit Valley sect. Of course, it was also because of the South Heaven Pill King who acted as the middleman. That was why it was so simple. If they lost this big boss, the Purple Pill Academy wouldn't be able to compete with the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and the Four Seas Medicine Manor. It wasn't difficult for the Purple Pill Academy to increase the number of slots. Elder Su Hong of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion was also very happy recently. Su Hong was naturally aware of some of the things that had happened in the city. However, as the chairman of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion, he couldn't be biased towards any side. The existence of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion was a very strange position. It obviously came from the influence of the imperial court, but it wanted to take over the alchemists of the underworld. Therefore, the most important thing for the Heavenly Pill Pavilion now was to stabilize the various forces and establish a good relationship between them. Only in this way could they lay the foundation for future development. The Longevity Pavilion was high and mighty. They didn't even care about the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. However, they took the initiative to come and participate in the exchange banquet that would be held in a few days. For the Heavenly Pill Pavilion, this was a historic move. If the Heavenly Pill Pavilion could get the Longevity Pavilion to join them, the influence of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion would undoubtedly be greater. In fact, although the establishment of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion was aggressive, they didn't dare to be too ruthless. Once these alchemists had some resistance in their hearts, it might cause some trouble. However, if the Longevity Pavilion joined them, it would undoubtedly increase the prestige of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. In the early stages, they could borrow the prestige of the Longevity Pavilion. However, in the later stages, the strength of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion would also increase. At that time, it would be time to get rid of the donkey after it had outlived its usefulness. Everything was like this. As for what kind of end you would end up with, it would depend on what kind of strength you had. Grandfather, is there a hidden reason why the people from the Longevity Pavilion suddenly want to participate? In front of Su Hong's desk, a girl in white brought Su Hong a bowl of 100-herb tea. The formula of the 100-herb tea was personally created by this girl. It could strengthen one's body and enhance one's physique. Su Hong looked up at the girl in front of him. That disappointing son of his had brought him a very capable granddaughter, which made Su Hong very happy. He even told his granddaughter most of the things that had happened in order to train his granddaughter to become his successor. Helping the Shengyan dynasty unify the entire alchemy world was not an easy task. If he couldn't see it happen in his lifetime, then he could only place his hopes on the next generation, or even the generation after that. The white-clothed girl before him was Su Hong's most beloved granddaughter, Su Sha. "Oh, it's Sha Sha. I've already drunk a few hundred cups of your 100 herbs longevity tea. If I continue drinking, your grandfather will be immortal." "Immortality is a good thing," Su Sha said. "When the time comes, I'll research a kind of medicine that can rejuvenate you." Su Hong immediately laughed out loud. Being able to have such a happy person by his side could be considered as making up for a trace of tranquility amidst the chaos in this world. "If I'm not wrong, these people are here for one person." Su Hong's tone changed, and he also became serious. "Who?" "Someone called Li Zongjiu." A trace of curiosity flashed in Su Sha's eyes. At the same time, she quickly recalled the information about this Li Zongjiu in her mind. Li Zongjiu, the person who was bestowed the qualifications of an alchemist by the emperor last time? Is the longevity pavilion interested in him? However, after giving it some thought, she realized that was not quite right. Their longevity pavilion had never been so humble. They had always been extremely aloof. No matter how much of a genius you may be, they would never take the initiative to invite you. If you wanted to join the longevity pavilion, you would have to go through some very strict tests. It was precisely because the longevity pavilion had never lacked geniuses that they never thought highly of alchemists from the outside world. They were also extremely interested in the inheritance of their own sections. If they were to recruit a person with evil intentions who barged into their sects to steal their inheritance, wouldn't that be extremely troublesome? It's him. However, I don't think these people are here to recruit him. You know about the Universe 9 revolving needle, right? Yes, I heard that someone took it out from the 14th floor of the Genius Tower some time ago. Moreover, it was the second part. Could that person be Li Zongjiu? This matter was quite serious at that time. However, without certain connections, it was difficult to obtain this information. Su Sha was in charge of other matters previously. Now, Su Sha was considered a small trainee deacon in the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. There were many things that she had to deal with every day. After all, this was the headquarters of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. If there were any matters in the lower branches, they would first be sent here to be dealt with. Su Sha now needed to sort out some information. Her daily affairs weren't easy. The reason why he had arranged such a position for Su Sha was so that Su Sha could understand the general situation in Holy Flame Royal City. This would allow her to have a better understanding of the situation in Holy Flame Royal City in the future. It would be easier for her to take over the job. Everything needed to be done slowly. Yes, the purpose of these people is the Universe 9 revolving needle in Li Zongjiu's hands. I originally thought that Li Zongjiu would quickly hand it over and even sell it for a good price. However, it seems that he didn't do so. Moreover, it seems that he doesn't intend to sell it. Su Hong said. In fact, Su Hong himself didn't know Li Zongjiu very well. However, if he did so now, it would be different from Li Zongjiu's temper. Could it be that this little Li Zongjiu dares to go against the Changsheng Pavilion? Not only the Changsheng Pavilion, but also the Spirit Valley sect and the Valley Immortal sect. These two sects have already fought with Li Zongjiu. Moreover, the people of the Valley Immortal sect seem to have all disappeared overnight. Moreover, Lu Wenshan of the Spirit Valley sect seemed to have been captured by Li Zongjiu. Su Hong said. In fact, the Heavenly Pill Pavilion didn't have much jurisdiction over this matter. They didn't even know much about the specific situation. After all, the actions of the Spirit Valley sect and the Valley Immortal sect didn't need to be reported to the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. The Heavenly Pill Pavilion itself wasn't good at tracking and collecting information. There were other imperial court organizations in charge of this matter. What, this Li Zongjiu is too powerful, Su Sha's eyes were filled with shock. It wasn't that simple to go against these forces. What's so powerful about it? The more he acts like this, the faster he'll die. These sects are like scoundrels. If the small ones can't do it, the big ones will do it. If the big ones can't do it, the old ones will do it. There's no end to it. When they go crazy, they don't even care about gains and losses. Sometimes, the life and death grudge between two great sects is caused by a small matter. There's no need for such a situation to happen too often. Su Hong said. This was the bad habit of those great sections. They didn't know when to stop. Even if they saw the coffin, they wouldn't shed a tear. For them, face was everything. However, it was precisely because of this that no one dared to provoke the people of these great sections. Because of this, they would often pursue to the end. Chapter 625. Listening to what he said, it was indeed very reasonable. However, Su Sha was also very interested in such a person who dared to barge in. If there's a chance, I would like to meet this person, Su Sha said. Her heart was filled with curiosity towards Li Zongjiu. Such a person was indeed rare. Nowadays, which person in this world didn't bully the weak and fear the strong? They were always trying to curry favor with those in power. Although Su Sha's understanding of Li Zongjiu was limited to a few words, she knew that he was definitely someone who was able to stand up to these powers. To be able to do something like this, she knew that he was definitely a lofty and arrogant individual. Such a person was either alive or dead. Now that he had finally found a living one, of course, he had to take a good look at it. By the way, is the 6th grade elixir ready for the exchange? Su Hong asked. Although Su Hong was concerned about Li Zongjiu, he would never take it too seriously. After all, no matter how bad Li Zongjiu was, he was only one person. It was impossible for him to turn the world upside down. Relying on the strength of this person alone, it was impossible to change the situation of this world. It's ready. This time, it will be used for the lottery. The elders in the backyard have designated it as Xianyang grass. Xianyang grass will not be weak. The banquet will be held the day after tomorrow. Go and confirm it again tomorrow to ensure the accuracy of the list and to ensure that everyone is informed. Su Hong said. Don't worry, Grandpa. I have already confirmed these things. Su Sha said. Then I will continue to work. There are still 3 cities' new names that have not been sorted out. I will go and check again. Thank you for your hard work. You should also pay more attention to your body. When the banquet is held, dress up well so that I can introduce you to a few young talents. I think that Jiang Bieyuan from the Jiang family is not bad. Su Hong's ridicule only made Su Sha speed up her pace. She simply ignored Su Hong, who was constantly shouting behind her. TSK, I think that the kid from the Jiang family is not bad. He is handsome and his strength is not bad. The Jiang family's background is also not bad. They can be considered to be well matched. Of course, all of this was just Su Hong's free imagination. The next morning, Li Zongjiu opened his eyes. The yuan bead dragon tattoo in his body trembled slightly. Finally, it returned to its calm state. For the entire night, the white god Fu was constantly circulating and reciting in his mind. However, when Li Zongjiu wanted to take out the blood bat sword and study its attributes, he chose to give up. It was better to be safe first. Even though he had the experience of his previous life, he was not completely confident when facing this thing. Li Zongjiu naturally had to remain calm. If he were to act rashly, he might bring harm to his cultivation. Young master, Taifai is here. When Yinghu saw Li Zongjiu walking out of the door, he hurriedly stepped forward and said. Naturally, he did not dare to disturb Li Zongjiu when he was cultivating. What is he doing here? Did something happen? After that, Li Zongjiu went to the guest hall to receive Li Zongjiu. When he passed by Dou Ling's room, he saw the Howling Moon Wolf King lying in front of the door with an aggrieved look. It looked at him as if it was begging for mercy. Li Zongjiu didn't care about the spineless howling moon wolf king at all. He could just sit there and slowly enjoy the fear he was feeling. Since even Li Zongjiu was unwilling to lend a helping hand, Yinghu naturally did not dare to look at it. At most, when the opportunity arose, he would secretly send some meat to this fellow to improve his diet. Before Li Zongjiu entered the room, he saw Tai-Fai pacing back and forth. "What's wrong? Is someone here to cause trouble?" Li Zongjiu asked. When Tai-Fai heard Li Zongjiu's voice, he immediately went up to Li Zongjiu excitedly. "Young master! Young master, big news, big news!" Tai-Fai said as he came forward. "Don't worry, speak slowly." Li Zongjiu was surprised to see Tai-Fai, the man who dominated the casino, behave in such a manner. "Young master." Du Lianyi was also sitting there. However, because Tai-Fai was blocking her, she did not see him. "Young master, Baihui Business Alliance invited us to join them." "It's Baihui Business Alliance," Tai-Fai excitedly said. If it wasn't for the solemnity of the scene, he would have almost started dancing with joy. He wished that he could jump up and down in excitement at this moment. Li Zongjiu rolled his eyes at Tai-Fai when he heard that. He thought it was something big. "It's just a business alliance. What's so great about it?" "Young master, Baihui Business Alliance is one of the top 10 business alliances in Sacred Flame Royal City. Even the 4 great families are members of Baihui Business Alliance," Du Lianyi said. Rather than calling them members, it was better to say that they were just members in name. However, one had to admit that Baihui Business Alliance was powerful. Sacred Flame Royal City was vast. Just the population alone exceeded a few million. Moreover, the daily flow of people was also quite large. Therefore, in terms of business, it was naturally perfect and developed. The competition was fierce. Even the 4 great families were members of Baihui Business Alliance. This was enough to show the strength of Baihui Business Alliance. In this city, every shop could be considered a merchant. However, if one's business was not big enough, it would be impossible for one to be invited by the merchant union. This was because there was a limit to the number of businesses that could join the business alliance. For example, Baihui Business Alliance had become a top-notch business alliance. However, the number of businesses that joined the alliance was only 99. Even the 4 great families joined Baihui Business Alliance. However, Baihui Business Alliance was only ranked in the top 10. Obviously, the competition between business alliances was very fierce. There were also many powerful businesses. The 4 great families are also here. Then this business alliance should be quite powerful. If Li Zongjiu had to deal with these messy matters, it would be relatively complicated. If the 100 Hui Business Alliance brought people to kill them, then it would be relatively easy to deal with them. Li Zongjiu would just have to kill them when the time came. However, now that they had invited him, Li Zongjiu could not weigh the pros and cons. He still needed to discuss it with Tai-Fai and Du Lianyi. Baihui Business Alliance's strength is at least ranked in the top 5 in Sacred Flame Royal City. The benefit of joining the business alliance is that you will be able to enjoy the discounts of other businesses. Even some resources that are not available to you will be able to circulate within Baihui Business Alliance. Du Lianyi said. Li Zongjiu did not seem to be very interested. Therefore, he directly explained the pros and cons of joining the business alliance. As for the requirements of joining the business alliance, other than being invited, you have to pay 50 million purple yuan every year. Tai-Fai added. So much. Li Zongjiu was not very interested in the terms and conditions of joining the business alliance. To Li Zongjiu, he was not very sensitive. However, when he heard that he had to pay so much money, Li Zongjiu's eyes widened. I haven't made any money from you yet, and you want to take away so much money from me? There were almost 100 businesses that joined the business alliance. If each of the 100 businesses had to pay 60 million purple yuan, the membership fee alone would be close to 6 billion purple yuan. Moreover, this was a stable income every year. Wasn't this too much of a fisherman? Although this number was not small, it was a ticket to enter the high-end market. If they could make good use of it, the profits would definitely be more than this. However, looking at Li Zongjiu's expression, Taifai and Du Lianyi could not help but feel a little worried. What if Li Zongjiu did not agree? I'll leave these matters to you. As long as you can make money, you can do whatever you want. However, Li Zongjiu was not a pedantic person. Seeing the changes in their expressions, he immediately said. The two of them thought that Li Zongjiu would refuse because joining the business alliance was bound to have certain restrictions. However, this was a rare opportunity for business people. The reason why they were able to get this opportunity was because of the destruction of the Yi family. Therefore, when the White Deer Manor merged with the forces under the Yi family, the people of the Baihui Business Alliance went straight to Taifai. Then what should we name our business alliance? In addition to being excited, they also wanted to confirm this important point. Once they joined the business alliance, it would not be a small matter anymore. We still need a name. Then let's call it Li's Jiangshan. Chapter 626. Li Zongjiu said without thinking. As soon as he said that, not only Taifai and Du Lianyi, but even Yinghu, who was outside the mall, almost fell down. Li's empire? Are you trying to rebel? Now the whole world belongs to the Shengyan dynasty. Does Li Zongjiu want to take it away? This is obviously an incredible name. No one dares to have such a name. Young master, this name doesn't conform to the rules. According to the rules, it can only be so-and-so Chamber of Commerce, so-and-so Trading Company, and so on. Taifai braced himself and said. If you tell Li Zongjiu this, you can't say it like that. Maybe it will trigger Li Zongjiu's rebellious mentality and make Li Zongjiu insist on such a name. That will undoubtedly bring disaster to himself. Even if he wants to rebel, in the current situation, he can only think about it. If he says it out loud, he will probably lose his head. Well, then we'll call it Li's Chamber of Commerce. Li Zongjiu said. It doesn't matter what the name is, as long as its surname is Li. It won't be so troublesome to deal with this matter. This is okay, it shouldn't be a problem. Taifai and others looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. If Li Zongjiu insisted, it would be hard to say. By the way, young master, I've found the thing you asked me to investigate last time. Taifai glanced at Du Lianyi, and finally his eyes fell on Li Zongjiu. Go ahead. Xiao Tianche, the son of the Imperial Guard commander, is now the deputy commander of the Right Army of the Imperial Palace. His latest activity is the guard work of the Alchemist Exchange meet in Monarch City tomorrow. Taifai said. Xiao Tianche, that is, Du Lianyi's enemy. When Du Lianyi heard this name, her whole body trembled. She wanted to twist this person's head off, even if it would splatter blood all over her body. Monarch City Alchemist Exchange Meet, what a familiar name. When Li Zongjiu heard this name, he thought carefully for a while. Alas, I'm old and I forget things easily. I'm supposed to attend this thing tomorrow. Well, you come with me tomorrow. I'll take his head off for you. Li Zongjiu said. The first sentence was the first sentence, it was strange that he was old. Old. Was old. Was old. And they were in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. They were all old monsters. Then, those in their 30s, 40s or 50 years, were old, they were old. Is saying. Is true. Du Lianyi couldn't believe it herself. Li Zongjiu actually wanted to bring her to personally witness the scene of him killing his enemy with his own hands. How can it be fake? Li Zongjiu said indifferently. But, I heard that the quota for this exchange meeting is very precious. It's not easy to get one. Now that the meeting is about to start, where can we get extra invitations? Tai-Fi said with a frown. If I, Li Zongjiu, want to go to a place, why would I need an invitation? But if you want an invitation, don't we have a master of forgery here? Li Zongjiu looked at Yinghu, who was listening attentively. When he saw Li Zongjiu looking at him, Yinghu was stunned. What's there to fake? I never fake. That's better. I'll leave the matter of the invitation to you. Come to me tomorrow and we'll go there together. Li Zongjiu said. Now, he had to continue studying the Yuan rune array. At the same time, he was preparing to make a trip to the black market in the Sacred Flame Royal City. Li Zongjiu needed to obtain some of these Yuan stones. Otherwise, his Yuan rune formation would be in a half-destroyed state and Li Zongjiu would suffer a loss. He was going to participate in the exchange meeting tomorrow. Maybe someone would rush into the White Deer Manor and rescue Lu Wenshan. After all, Li Zongjiu was alone. Li Zongjiu couldn't possibly bring Lu Wenshan with him. The only way was to repair the Yuan rune array. You stay in the manor today. If anyone comes in, beat them out. Li Zongjiu said to Dou Ling, who had just woken up. This girl was so good at sleeping. Who was going to protect who? Looking at Dou Ling, her sleepy appearance, Li Zongjiu didn't count on her anymore. Don't worry. I'm here. Don't worry. After Dou Ling, finished speaking, she went back to her room and fell asleep again. Li Zongjiu had explored the black market in his previous life. This time, he didn't need someone to lead him. He only needed to find the person to enter the black market. Sacred Flame Royal City had a longevity street that specialized in selling incense. The entire street was filled with shops that sold incense and candles. However, some people who were dressed very cautiously could be seen walking in and out. They seemed to be in a hurry, but they didn't seem to be buying incense or anything like that. This was the famous Ghost King night market in the city. Incense paves the way and ghosts open the door. If one wanted to enter the night market, one had to know the door. If there were no ghosts to open the door for you, it would be difficult to find the door. Even if you found it, you wouldn't be able to enter. Li Zongjiu came to the longevity street and found a relatively large incense shop. Walking in, the shop was filled with things like wreaths, shrouds, coffins, firecrackers, and the like. The few shop assistants were weakly using the feather dusters in their hands to sweep the non-existent dust on the corner of the wall. Even when they saw Li Zongjiu walk in, they didn't move at all. It was as if they didn't see him. Is the boss here? Li Zongjiu asked directly. Why are you looking for the boss? A waiter turned around and asked. This waiter was as thin as a match and his face was devoid of any color. He looked like a living corpse, which really made people feel a trace of fear. Buying a coffin. How much did you prepare? 3 gold and 2 silver. When the two waiters heard this, they looked at each other. Then, they took down a large roll of incense and candles from the counter. Follow me. The design of these codes was passed down to the present day and not many people cared about it. But as long as they matched, they could enter the black market. One of the shop assistants continued to look after the shop, while the other gave Li Zongjiu a shroud for Li Zongjiu to wear. The candles in his hands were lit. Then, he walked towards the cellar behind the counter. In fact, the shroud only looked like a shroud in appearance. In reality, it was a yuan tool that could conceal one's aura and appearance. However, it was suitable for use in the black market. This was because the black market itself had a huge yuan pattern array. Transactions in this place were always done with cash and bank notes. There were absolutely no promissory notes. In the pitch-black passage, one couldn't see where the end of the road was. Li Zongjiu walked for about 200 steps before he saw a solid wooden door in front of him. Have fun on the Yellow Springs Road. The shop assistant pushed open the wooden door. After Li Zongjiu walked in, the door behind him closed with a bang. This was an underground street. Chapter 627. Li Zongjiu had had enough of those idiotic rules when he walked into the Ghost King night market. These people were really good at causing trouble. This was an underground street, and above their heads was an extremely thick floor. Above the floor, there were also countless patterns that were flickering constantly. Obviously, this was an yuan inscription array. The underground street looked the same as the longevity street on the surface. However, there were more temporary stalls on the side of the road. If one wanted to get some good stuff, one would have to walk around and take a look. No one knew where these people would stay. Generally, people who came to this kind of place to sell things basically did not have stolen goods. As for the price, it was up to fate. Some of the shops were relatively strong. If you were in a hurry to get rid of the things in your hands, you could sell them to these recycling shops. This way, you could quickly cash in, and there would be no worries. The only drawback was that the price would be very, very low. As long as one could bear it, there was nothing to say. After all, high returns also came with high risks. Since others were willing to bear the risk for you, they would naturally want to take some benefits from you. The people walking on the street were in a hurry. If they were not accompanying companions, they would basically keep a distance from strangers. In this black market, fighting was not allowed. Otherwise, the yuan inscription array above their heads was no joke. A bolt of lightning could strike them at any time and turn them into ashes. Furthermore, this entire street was managed by a special force. Otherwise, this street full of treasures would definitely be filled with bloodshed and chaos. No one would dare to trade in such a place. Naturally, there would be no benefits to speak of. When it was first established, there were often some people who wanted to forcibly leave with their things. However, the end result was obvious. The road to the underworld was not a place where one could come and go as one pleased. The fact that this Ghost King night market could exist for such a long time already proved the strength of the person behind it. Even a yuan monarch elite would not easily cause trouble in this place. Li Zongjiu walked into a shop with 3 lanterns hanging on it. The shops here were also divided into different grades. The more lanterns there were, the more precious and higher the grade of the items inside. At the same time, it also showed that this shop had existed for a long time. Hee. What would you like to order, dear customer? Our shop has just brought in 20 new female slaves from the western region. This is their introduction list. After purchasing, you will be provided with a certificate from the Ministry of Revenue. I guarantee that it will be clean. Take a look. Trafficking in human beings was, of course, illegal. However, in this Ghost King night market, it was a common thing. Many people would even come because of its reputation, this shop with 3 lanterns. Trading? You guys are really scumbags. Li Zongjiu frowned when he heard this. Of course, he was wearing the shroud and his voice had changed. At the same time, Li Zongjiu's expression could not be seen clearly. Even his appearance could not be seen clearly. However, his height could not be changed. The shop owner could not help but smile when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. How many good people could come here to trade? It was just that Li Zongjiu did not like this kind of trade. It was common for people to open their doors to do business. Therefore, the shop owner did not care. Since you are not interested in these foreign girls, what do you want? As long as you say it, I can get it for you. As for the price, I will give you a 10% discount since you are a new customer. In this kind of black market, face did not matter. No one knew who you were. Only money was real. Only when you made money could you talk about other things. Yuan stones. Li Zongjiu said. Things like primordial stones should be relatively common in this black market. For example, some of the new weapons forged by the workshop would always be in this black market. As a result, it naturally attracted the attention of the primordial stones. As long as it was something that could make money, they would carry it out. Whether it was legal or not, it did not matter. In this underground world, there were no rules to speak of. Yuan stones, this thing, you can have as many as you want. What kind of yuan stones do you want? The shopkeeper's face suddenly showed a smile. I'm not bragging, but in this Ghost King night market, there are 108 shops, and only my primordial stones are of the best quality. The other shops are all just to make up the numbers. If you don't pay attention, you'll be cheated by them. Come to my shop, I guarantee that you'll be happy buying and using it without worry. High-grade primordial stones. If it's the best, then supreme-grade primordial stone. Li Zongjiu said. When these words came out, the shopkeeper's face suddenly froze. From Li Zongjiu's body, he did not see anything strange. This person in front of him, his tone was too arrogant. After coming to this black market, he actually dared to make such a direct and grand transaction. A upper-grade yuan stone, its value was very high. If you can't take it out, then don't waste my time. Li Zongjiu said, turned around and prepared to leave. He did not even give the shopkeeper time to react. He only knew that he was about to lose a big customer. Such a big customer, how could he let him leave so easily? Wait, who said that I don't have it here? You wait. The shopkeeper turned around and walked into the storage room at the back. With a series of crackling sounds, he directly opened the extremely tightly sealed treasure chest. Soon after, he took out a box that was locked with an yuan pattern lock. Dear customer, this is the upper-grade yuan stone you want. After a series of operations, the box was opened. Immediately, the contents of the box were displayed in front of Li Zongjiu. When he saw the crystal-clear stone in the box, Li Zongjiu's eyes narrowed slightly. There was some satisfaction in his eyes. Just by looking at it, the quality of this yuan stone was close to perfect. Such a high-grade yuan stone was very rare. Basically, once it was dug out, it would quickly be secretly sent to other places. Therefore, it was very difficult to see such a high-quality yuan stone in the market. Only one. Li Zongjiu was not some country bumpkin. Even if the quality was high, it was only a single upper-grade yuan stone. Could it be that high? Li Zongjiu had seen a lot of high-grade primordial stones before. Therefore, he did not care at all. How many do you want? Since he dared to ask for such an exorbitant price, it was obvious that he was not an ordinary rich person. Maybe he was a super customer, so he must seize the opportunity. I want as many as you have. Li Zongjiu directly placed a bottle of pills on the table. The bottle was full of fifth-grade pills, nearly 20 of them. In terms of value, a fifth-grade pill was worth between 10 million and 50 million purple yuan in the market. The value of a single upper-grade yuan stone was about 1 million purple yuan. However, this was the black market. The things they sold would be more expensive, and the things they sold would depreciate greatly. No matter where it was, a fifth-grade medicinal pill was an absolute hard currency. The shopkeeper could not wait to open the bottle in his hand. There were 20 fifth-grade pills inside. Seeing so many of them, he immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. This was a big business. Chapter 628. He had been in this business for so long and had seen many things, but he had never seen someone who could take out 20 fifth-grade elixirs in one go and exchange them for high-grade primordial stones. In the outside world, one fifth-grade elixir could be exchanged for 2 or 3 high-grade primordial stones, but in this black market, it was at most 1-to-1. 20 fifth-grade elixirs, 1-to-1 exchange, I will give you 20 high-grade primordial stones. The shopkeeper knew in his heart that this was definitely a big deal, but on the surface, he still had to continue to remain calm. If he changed hands, the profit would be several times more. Just today's list was enough for them to eat for several years. Okay. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. It seemed that in Li Zongjiu's eyes, as long as he could get the high-grade primordial stones, he did not care about other things. You wait for me here, the shopkeeper said, and also put Li Zongjiu's elixir bottle in his pocket. He turned around and walked to the counter behind him. This time, he also went deep into it, and seemed to have entered some kind of secret warehouse. Then, he took out a big box, which contained 20 high-grade primordial stones. The transaction with Li Zongjiu was separated by a counter. First, it was to protect each other, and second, it was to ensure each other's safety. Although it was called a black market, except for the price, it was still very good. These things were clearly marked with prices. If you could not afford it, then you could just not buy it. In this aspect, there was naturally no problem. 20 high-grade primordial stones, all of them are here. The shopkeeper put the primordial stones on the table and let Li Zongjiu have a look. Generally speaking, the shopkeeper of this store was quite honest, at least the high-grade primordial stones in front of him were some real goods. Some people were good at construction, and liked to put some defective products, or even some depleted primordial stones in here to make up the number. When you took it back, you would find that the weight of the primordial stones was not enough to be called high-grade primordial stones, but from the appearance, it was very shiny. If you did not know the trade, or if you were a little careless, it was very likely that you would be directly fooled. Do you have any top-grade primordial stones? Li Zongjiu directly put away the 20 high-grade primordial stones, and then put a porcelain bottle on the table. From the looks of it, it was obvious that he wanted to buy the entire store. Again. The shopkeeper was slightly surprised. Li Zongjiu's tone, top-grade primordial stones, it was really not something that ordinary people could get their hands on. He looked at Li Zongjiu again and again. Anyway, in the night market with the Ghost King, he was under the protection of the Ghost King. What else could happen? High risk, high reward. If he did not dare to take this risk, how could he dare to do business in the night market? Friend, I'm not bragging, but as long as the money is in place, I can even bring down the moon of Tianshan Mountain, the shopkeeper said proudly. Then he reached out and grabbed the bottle in his hand. When he opened it, he saw that there were 25th grade primordial pills, exactly the same amount as before. He was delighted. However, the expression on his face didn't seem to be one of relief. Friend, do you know that if you want to get a top-grade primordial stone, the price you have to pay is much higher than the price of a high-grade primordial stone? You should at least add a little more, the shopkeeper said. This kind of probing tone was also to take advantage of Li Zongjiu. Anyway, this Li Zongjiu looked like a person who was not short of money. Since this was the case, there was nothing to worry about. Let's just take advantage of Li Zongjiu. He would not let go until he saw the last rabbit. Then I'll add this high-grade primordial stone. Li Zongjiu smiled slightly, then took out a high-grade primordial stone from his arms and put it on the table. 5. The shopkeeper of the Shady Inn stretched out 5 fingers. Li Zongjiu did not say anything and directly placed 5 high-grade primordial stones on the table. Straightforward. Wait for me here. After saying that, the shopkeeper took away the 5 high-grade primordial stones and went directly to the counter behind. Such a precious thing, of course, should be placed in the secret room. After Li Zongjiu saw the shopkeeper go in, he turned around and closed the door, directly extinguishing the lanterns. The corner of his mouth slightly curved into a cold smile. His figure disappeared on the spot and appeared directly behind the counter. Why did Li Zongjiu come to such a place to buy things? Wasn't it because these people were enough to cheat? Since Li Zongjiu dared to slander him, he didn't say that he couldn't do the same to Li Zongjiu. Therefore, if Li Zongjiu were to make a move, he would naturally be happy in his heart. He had never heard of anyone who could take advantage of Li Zongjiu. If you take away from Li Zongjiu, even if it is only a hair, then Li Zongjiu can take away a piece of meat and a bone from your hand. Supreme grade primordial stones, actually want to take away my supreme grade primordial stones. In a while, I will inform Lord Ghost King and directly kill this guy. This way, I will directly show filial respect to Lord Ghost King. Who knows, maybe my shop will be upgraded by a grade. At that time, the taxes will be even cheaper. The shopkeeper opened the door of the secret room and walked in. However, just as he walked in, he suddenly heard a little movement behind him. Just as he turned his head, he saw Li Zongjiu walk in first. Bang! A punch landed on the shopkeeper's face, directly sending him tumbling down the passageway. A plop sound. Aya! Li Zongjiu waved his hand and an invisible flame lit up the surrounding torches. This place was indeed worthy of being called a black shop's treasure trove. In addition to a mountain of purple yuan coins, there were also a large number of treasure chests scattered on the ground. One could see that the scattered items on the ground were extremely diverse. Li Zongjiu's mental energy swept across and the first thing he found was a storage ring. This ring was placed in the most conspicuous place. At the same time, the ring was enveloped by a layer of light. This layer of light seemed to be extremely dim, but when one approached it, a ray of light would flicker. This was the power of the yuan pattern array. Kid, every item in here corresponds to the yuan pattern array. If you don't find the correct method, you will not be able to open it. The shopkeeper, who had regained his senses, spat out a mouthful of blood and said. At the same time, he quietly took out a button from his chest. This button was specially used to call for help. Since these people opened shops in the Ghost King night market, they had to pay a high protection fee. Therefore, they also enjoyed some corresponding rights and protection. When there were people causing trouble, they would not be able to escape. The people from the Ghost King Palace would appear to help solve the problem. You dare to fight in the Ghost King night market? You are dead, kid. The shopkeeper said in a cold voice. What era is it now? There are still people who don't know the rules. Today, I will let you know what it means to regret it. Li Zongjiu did not pay attention to the shopkeeper. Looking at the light screen in front of him, his mental energy immediately penetrated it. These light curtains were like some complicated yuan pattern locks. If one were to forcefully destroy these yuan pattern locks, it would definitely destroy everything under the protection of these yuan pattern locks. It was a very dangerous thing to do. This was called destroying jade and common stone. However, this was also the final guarantee. If someone broke it open with brute force, then wouldn't this thing become someone else's possession? Seeing that Li Zongjiu seemed to be reaching out to grab the ring, the shopkeeper's heart was in his throat. This could be said to be the treasure of his shop. But now, it was trembling in Li Zongjiu's hand. No, if it was destroyed in Li Zongjiu's hands, then even if he killed Li Zongjiu, there was no way to make up for the loss. However, what happened next made the shopkeeper's eyes pop out of their sockets. It was as if Li Zongjiu had just passed through a basin of water. He effortlessly took out the ring. Chapter 629. When the ring entered his hand, he felt an indescribable sense of heaviness. Southern Kingdom Ring. Li Zongjiu looked at the ring in his hand. There was a red bean-sized gemstone on the ring, sparkling with light. This red gemstone was resplendent, causing people who looked at it to lose their souls. Anyone would be attracted by this gemstone. What really amazed Li Zongjiu was that the Southern Kingdom ring was a storage ring that he had collected in his previous life. The storage ring was as big as a city. It was as if a temple was placed in the ring. Needless to say, it was a storage space. The most important function of the ring was that it could sense the presence of primordial stones. Within a certain range, it could be considered as a treasure hunting function. Therefore, Li Zongjiu was very fond of the Southern Kingdom ring. However, he wouldn't be able to use this skill in the later stages. He could get as many primordial stones as he wanted, piling them up like a mountain. Li Zongjiu's wealth wasn't enough to describe it. At his realm, there was nothing he couldn't do except plucking the sky. Later on, Li Zongjiu kept the Southern Kingdom ring as a treasure, but he didn't expect to find it here. This was Li Zongjiu's possession. How could he leave it here? Since he had found it, he might as well take it away. In fact, Li Zongjiu had several very powerful equipment in his previous life. However, those were things that happened thousands of years later. Before that, Li Zongjiu did not obtain any heaven-defying treasures. Therefore, the process of his growth was extremely painful. Actually, this ring is mine. Thank you for finding it for me. Li Zongjiu did not hesitate to wear the Southern Kingdom ring on his finger. With a wave of his hand, the red gemstone on the ring was temporarily hidden. The light was no longer so dazzling. Seeing that his familiar friend had returned to his side, Li Zongjiu felt as if he had risen from the ruins once again. However, this time, he did not carry hatred and regret. Instead, he carried his own desire and will. You are very bold. In this Ghost King night market, no one has ever dared to rob. It's not that I want to criticize you, but you have no way out. The shopkeeper touched his head. Just now, Li Zongjiu's punch had caused him to roll down the stairs. Even now, it still hurt. Is that so? Hee, since you are threatening me, don't blame me. Li Zongjiu said. Immediately, he extended his hand and directly groped around the other parts of the treasury. Wherever Li Zongjiu's hand passed by, there was a powerful force that directly pulled out the items under the Yuan Rune Formation light screen, including 2 supreme-grade primordial stones. In addition, there were also some spirit grasses and spirit medicines hidden in this treasury, as well as some precious ores. There weren't many items hidden in the treasury, but they were all things that sold well. If he kept hoarding things that he couldn't sell, wouldn't he lose the opportunity to make money in vain? Therefore, this unscrupulous store required a business mind. You will die a horrible death. He never thought that his anti-theft yuan pattern array would be useless in front of Li Zongjiu. It was as if it existed in name only. In fact, it was very easy to crack this kind of low-level anti-theft yuan pattern array. The reason why these anti-theft yuan pattern locks had such an effect was that they had their own unique beating frequency. Under the encirclement of Li Zongjiu's mental strength, even if you were ever changing, it would be easy to find you. Although the shopkeeper was good at doing business, it was indeed a little difficult for him to bear in this aspect. He was not yet at this level, so he could not imagine how it was done. Li Zongjiu was not here to explain these things to him. He effortlessly plundered the underground treasury. Oh, that's right. You might be unlucky. I think the people protecting you will not be here so soon. Li Zongjiu gently slapped the shopkeeper's face twice. Although these 2 slaps did not hurt, they directly penetrated the shopkeeper's heart. This casual and relaxed action directly shattered his heart. You can forget about escaping. The shopkeeper stretched out his hand, wanting to catch Li Zongjiu. However, Li Zongjiu's figure flashed and was already dozens of meters away. He appeared on the stairs and gently closed the door of the secret room. At the same time, Li Zongjiu also took out a mid-grade primordial stone. His mental strength completed the engraving of the yuan pattern array almost instantaneously. With a pa sound, this yuan pattern array slammed into the door, embedding the middle-grade yuan stone into the door frame. Li Zongjiu then turned and left. His figure disappeared from the shop. Less than 2 minutes after Li Zongjiu left, a group of people wearing black cloaks and strange fanged masks appeared at the entrance of the shop with 3 lanterns. They exuded a terrifying murderous aura. This is the place. Seal it off. Don't let anyone escape. The leader of the group yelled. The mask on his head was in the shape of a bull's head. Naturally, there was no need for the king to appear for ordinary matters. Therefore, the true ghost king of the underground world did not appear. Instead, he sent one of his subordinates to kill his way out and take care of these matters. Although he was only the right-hand man and not the ghost king himself, the bull's head was not weak. However, Oxhead's strength wasn't simple either. He had the strength of a grade 2 Yuan monarch. Just one of his subordinates possessed such strength. Needless to say, the strength of the ghost king was even more terrifying. When the people wearing the bull's head mask barged into the shop, they did not discover anyone. However, this was also the unusual part. Search. Oxhead waved his big hand, and the brats under him directly turned the store upside down. It looked like it was ransacked by bandits, but as a group of professionals, they were very professional in this aspect. They didn't touch any of the things that were previously stolen. Finally, these people found the door to the underground warehouse that had been sealed. One of them wanted to open the copper ring on the door, but in an instant, he heard a loud bang. He turned around and saw that the little ghost was directly blown away in an instant. One of his arms was blown off, and his flesh was badly mangled. Most importantly, the fresh blood splattered on the face of the bull's head mask. "Motherfucker, you piece of trash." The bull's head directly stomped down on the man with the broken arm, causing his chest to cave in. Everyone knew that the bull's head was the one who loved cleanliness the most. Immediately, the man took off his bull's head mask and replaced it with a new one. "A mere Yuan inscription array dares to act rashly in front of me? Break for me." The bull's head instantly punched out. Boom! The wooden door was instantly torn apart. At the same time, the force of the explosion was not directed towards the outside, but towards the inside. The entire tunnel below instantly collapsed. Rumble. As the dust filled the air, the bull's head directly pulled two people in front of him to prevent the dust from splashing on his body. Find the person. When the dust settled, the bull's head ordered the people to dig the person out. Who would have thought that the tunnel that you secretly dug would be so weak? Wasn't this just looking for trouble? This made the Oxhead general very unhappy. When the shopkeeper of the black shop was dug out, he was already on his last breath. However, other than the shopkeeper of the black shop, no one else was found. Chapter 630. Ghost King Palace. In the Ghost King night market, every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. All the underground transactions were protected by the law of darkness. Moreover, the Ghost King night market extended in all directions, with countless entrances and exits. Once the secret passageway was opened, it could even lead to any place in the Sacred Flame Royal City. It could lead to any place that one could not even imagine. The Ghost King Palace was in charge of life and death in the Ghost King night market. It was the Ghost King Palace that maintained the rules. In the Ghost King Palace, there were countless experts who had established such an underground world. Places like the Ghost King night market would definitely exist. Even in the imperial court, there would often be people who would come to the Ghost King Palace to conduct some transactions. Some shady matters could only be handled by the people of the Ghost King Palace. There were countless of them. There was only one king in the Ghost King Palace, and that was the Ghost King. No one had seen the real face of the Ghost King. They only knew that the Ghost King wore a mask of the night Rakshasa all year round. His voice was as deep as the roar of a lion, intimidating and terrifying. Once, there was a sect that claimed to uphold justice and maintain peace. All the experts of the sect, including several Yuan King realm experts and more than 100 Yuan Ancestor realm experts, were mobilized. However, the Ghost King personally took action and killed everyone in the sect. No one left alive. This underground world was formed directly and became a forbidden area. There were rules that belonged to this underground world. At the same time, these rules did not allow any provocation. In the Ghost King Palace, the seriously injured shopkeeper was directly brought to the main hall. Even though he was seriously injured, he could not delay the interrogation of the Ghost King Palace. This was because in the underground world, the rules had to be followed, and no one could break the rules. Although the shopkeeper had been a bandit and a bad guy before, when he was carried into the Ghost King Palace, he already knew that things were not good. The surrounding atmosphere was like being in a dark abyss, making it hard for people to breathe. He wanted to leave this place immediately. The people around him were all bare-chested and had incredibly ferocious expressions on their faces. They were glaring angrily at the people in front of them, and they were filled with dignity. And on the chair piled with human skulls, there was a person lying down. He wore a total of 8 rings on his hands, and each ring had a different color. Even though the shopkeeper was very knowledgeable, he had never seen these rings before. What were their origins? Speak, what's the situation? My Ghost King Palace will never tolerate anyone who breaks the rules. When the store was robbed by Li Zongjio, the shopkeeper immediately pressed the emergency button. Who would have thought that such a situation would occur? Li Zongjio was not caught. Instead, he was brought in for interrogation. Wasn't this a bit wrong? Thinking back, there had never been any cases of accidents in the Ghost King Palace. The shopkeeper immediately understood. If such a case happened to him, the credibility of the Ghost King Palace would be greatly damaged. Therefore, the Ghost King Palace would never allow such a thing to happen. Thinking of this, the shopkeeper's heart suddenly thumped. Ghost King. I accidentally triggered the mechanism. In fact, I sprained my ankle when I fell down. The shopkeeper stood up and said, bearing his serious injury. The underground world was really cruel. If he said that the Ghost King Palace had not caught anyone, then he would be slapping the Ghost King Palace in the face. Now that he had lost the treasure, if he lost his life as well, then it would be too much of a loss for him. Therefore, the shopkeeper directly denied it. Oh. If you are threatened, just tell me. My Ghost King Palace will never tolerate anyone who breaks the rules. The Ghost King said. But when these words came out, everyone's eyes were fixed on the shopkeeper, as if to say, you brat, say something. Really? I really didn't. The Ghost King glanced at the ox-headed general. The ox-headed general also walked out. Your Excellency, when we went there, we didn't find any signs of an intruder. There was no fight at the scene, nor was there any abnormality. This guy was the only one who was locked in the underground warehouse. Could it be that this guy was trying to scam someone? This kind of behavior was similar to fraud. Previously, they had met several people who were not afraid of death. They had lost everything in the store, and then deliberately made it look like a robbery. They wanted to get compensation from the Ghost King Palace. After all, they had to pay a high protection fee. But in the end, the owner of the store was directly changed. After some reorganization, it was rented to someone who didn't have a store yet. It should be known that the price of a store in the underground world was even more expensive. The result was obvious. Basically, they lost their lives directly. Since it's a misunderstanding, let's disperse. The Ghost King was too lazy to pursue this matter, and casually waved his hand. Hearing this, the shopkeeper was very excited. With this sentence, it seemed that his life was saved. Otherwise, he estimated that he wouldn't live for long. Although the result of asking for help was very tragic, what could he do? The other party took the money and didn't do anything. Maybe they would even take his life to maintain their reputation. In this world, strength was everything. When the shopkeeper was sent away, the Ghost King waved his hand. Horseface, bring some people to investigate. Since someone dared to mess with my night market, I'll deal with his whole family. The Ghost King said coldly. How could it be so simple to establish the order of the underground world? Naturally, he could see that something was wrong with a glance, but he didn't catch the person on the spot. Therefore, this matter could only be temporarily put aside. The shopkeeper's matter was easy to deal with, but the person who came to their night market arrogantly couldn't be let off so easily. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, I will still capture you and bring you back. The Ghost King was also in the night market, and there were countless passageways. Most importantly, after Li Zongjiu ransacked the place, he turned back and continued to stroll around the night market. He wanted to find some more hidden treasures. After all, he had so much money that he hadn't had time to use it yet. I haven't had time to sell these elixirs. Why don't I try selling some elixirs here? Li Zongjiu thought to himself. The elixirs that he took out earlier were all taken back from the shopkeeper. There was nothing to say. They originally belonged to Li Zongjiu, so it was impossible for the shopkeeper to take them away. However, after strolling around, Li Zongjiu couldn't use some of the weapons, elemental arts, elemental skills, and the like. Even if he bought them, they would be useless. However, he found a remnant scroll on a small stall. How much are you selling this remnant scroll? Li Zongjiu directly picked up the incomplete scroll of the array formation. He didn't beat around the bush and said directly. 3,000 low-grade primordial stones, non-negotiable. The shopkeeper said. In this kind of free stall, you could sell as you wished. However, if there were any safety issues, the Ghost King Palace would not be responsible. It was also a place to attract people. 3,000 low-grade primordial stones. According to the normal exchange rate, it was close to 30 high-grade primordial stones. This price was really not low. I'll give you 100 mid-grade primordial stones. If you don't sell, I'll rob you. Li Zongjiu said. His words were considered polite. Then, he directly threw the 100 mid-grade primordial stones on the stall. Anyway, they were all robbed from the shop just now. 100 mid-grade primordial stones were far more valuable than 1,000 low-grade primordial stones. It could be regarded as 1,500 low-grade primordial stones. However, the difference in price was still more than half. Although the stall owner was unhappy, when he saw Li Zongjiu, he chose to swallow his anger. He didn't say anything, but silently put away the 100 mid-grade primordial stones. In fact, he found this remnant scroll by accident when he was training. Although he wasn't necessarily afraid of Li Zongjiu, he didn't necessarily fear him. But in the black market, being able to get money smoothly was already a very rare thing. Chapter 631. Li Zongjiu also left with the remnant scroll. Currently, he had 2 top-grade primeval stones, nearly 30 high-grade primeval stones, and 500 mid-grade primeval stones. He could be considered extremely wealthy. In the beginning, when he wanted to buy some primeval stones from Qi Shaohan, he had to use his connections. After walking around, Li Zongjiu himself was also familiar with the place. He directly found an exit and walked out, but when he walked out, he found that the sky was already dark, and he was in the suburbs. The surroundings were desolate and uninhabited, and gusts of cold wind blew through the forest. This is the northern outskirts of the city. I have to walk back. Li Zongjiu's residence, White Deer Manor, was in the southwest direction of the city. However, the Sacred Flame Royal City was a huge city and was not as small as one would imagine. There were hundreds of thousands of people moving around every day. There were no less than 10 people at the city gate. However, just as Li Zongjiu was about to leave for home, he sensed a familiar fluctuation from the Southern Nation ring on his hand. When he wore the Southern Nation ring in the past, there would often be such a fluctuation. Under normal circumstances, very few people knew why the Southern Nation ring would emit such a fluctuation when wearing it. However, Li Zongjiu was very clear that there were extremely pure primordial stones nearby. They were at least supreme-grade primordial stones. Li Zongjiu's eyes suddenly lit up. The reason why it could sense such fluctuations was because the source stone had just been mined and hadn't been polished yet. Therefore, the Southland ring could easily sense its aura. If it was protected by layers of protection, then it would be very difficult for the Southland ring to detect it even if it was close at hand. Therefore, when the Southern Nation ring was outdoors, it could easily find objects with strong primordial qi. Just in time. Recently, Li Zongjiu was in need of yuan stones. Immediately, his figure flashed, leaving behind numerous afterimages in the forest, as his figure swiftly dashed forward. At this moment, an extremely fierce battle was breaking out in the forest. With a convoy of carriages as the center, the 4 black-clothed experts were moving, bringing with them bursts of bloody wind. The 8th elder of the Qi clan, Qi Feiyu. He held a black and white dual blade in his hand and was fighting a bloody battle. Alone, he was fiercely fighting against 2 experts of the enemy. His subordinates were also desperately resisting. He did not expect that this transportation mission would be discovered in the end. Moreover, the people who came with them were actually old rivals of many years. Qi Feiyu, it's not worth it to die here for a mere primordial stone. Give it to us, and we promise not to kill your people. Otherwise, your people will be killed by our disciples of the Yin sect. A protector of the Yin sect said in a cold voice. Of Qi Feiyu's Feiyu was Feiyu. Qi Feiyu wielded a pair of black and white blades, and behind him was a black and white dragon-tailed fish. Among the numerous yuan spirits, the existence of the black and white dragon-tail fish was extremely unique. It was also because of the strength of the black and white dragon-tail fish that the 2 protectors were so timid. They did not even dare to forcefully attack. If they were to fight to the death in the end, or even let Qi Feiyu drag the 2 of them with him and take them away, then, the outcome would be too miserable. Therefore, they naturally would not do such a losing business. Feeling the aura of the black and white dragon-tail fish, the 2 protectors only dared to use all their skills to delay Qi Feiyu. But looking at Qi Feiyu's appearance, he did not seem to be in a hurry. The Yin sect sent you 2 trash. If I, Qi Feiyu, can't even deal with you 2 scum today, then I don't need to stay in this business in the future. Qi Feiyu said in a cold voice, his aura did not diminish. Although Qi Feiyu was fighting 1 against 2 and even felt as if he was about to fall into a disadvantageous position, his aura did not weaken at all. Immediately, his excited mockery caused the eyes of the 2 great protectors to flicker with cold light. Since that's the case, there's nothing more to say. Don't blame our Yin Yuan sect for being cruel today. Disciples of Yin Yuan sect, listen up. Kill all of these people from the Qi clan. Leave no one alive. Their storage rings will belong to you. The protector of the Yin sect, Wuji sect, said. The other protector was called Wuji Dao. The 2 of them were blood brothers. When the 2 of them joined forces, their fighting strength could at least be ranked in the top 3 among the protectors of the Yin sect. Men of the Qi family, kill this group of bastards in front of you. Qi Feiyu roared at once, bolstering his prestige. Although the other party came in a menacing manner, they had already sent out a message. As long as the experts of the family arrived in time, they would be able to kill these experts of the Yin Yuan sect and rescue them. After Qi Feiyu roared, a bone-chilling wind seemed to blow in the sky. Qi Feiyu's eyes darkened. The dragon-tail fish behind him also swam around Qi Feiyu. Obviously, it had sensed the presence of something and had come to protect Qi Feiyu. Ha ha ha, the Yinli protector is here. Qi Feiyu, don't blame us for not giving you a chance. It's not too late to leave now. The Yinli protector. When Qi Feiyu sensed the unusual smell in the air, he knew that the situation was not good. He knew that the other party would take action, but he did not expect that the other party would actually invite the Yinlao's protector out. In the Yin sect, the elders were in charge of internal affairs while the protectors were in charge of external affairs. Therefore, the ones in charge of external affairs were the protectors. Every protector was a Yuan monarch powerhouse. This showed how powerful the Yin Yuan sect was, as there were more than 10 protectors in the Yin Yuan sect. Moreover, every protector was an important asset of the Yin sect. Normally, there would be 2 protectors when they were dispatched. There had never been a situation where there were 3 protectors. Once there were more than 3 protectors, it meant that the operation was imperative. If the operation of the Yin sect was exposed, the sect itself would be threatened. Therefore, they had to end the battle quickly. The Yinli protector was charging over. He was the 3rd-ranked protector in the Yin sect. There was no need to talk about his strength. Even if the Limitless sect and the Limitless sect worked together, they could only be the Yinli protector. Ha, Qi Feiyu, you should be honored that this old man has personally come to take your dog life. The Yinli protector's voice came from a very distant place. However, in the next moment, a black shadow was already in front of Qi Feiyu. Qi Feiyu was stunned. The dragon-tail fish automatically turned into a ray of light and blocked in front of Qi Feiyu. Boom! Qi Feiyu's entire body was sent flying. With a loud bang, he fell to the ground from the sky. Fortunately, the dragon-tail fish protected its master in time, allowing Qi Feiyu to regain his balance. What a terrifying power! It was this move that sent Qi Feiyu flying. It was obvious that the person who had come was very powerful. Greetings, Yinli Protector. The Limitless sect and the Limitless sect said in unison. A slender black-robed man appeared in front of them. His 2 sleeves were almost touching the ground. His face was glowing with silver light. Under the moonlight, his mouth was filled with silver teeth. He looked extremely sinister and terrifying. Chapter 632. You 2 pieces of trash can't even deal with Qi Feiyu. I have to do it myself. The Yinli was obviously very dissatisfied with the ability of the 2 protectors. The 2 of them together were not Qi Feiyu's opponent. They had wasted so much time. If the people of the Qi family were to react, they would definitely be surrounded like dumplings. The Qi family's power and influence within the Sacred Flame Royal City must be extremely great. The fact that the Yin Yuan sect had chosen to take the risk and make a move within the city meant that they would definitely catch the Qi family off guard. However, everything would be meaningless if they continued to delay. Please forgive us, Protector. The 2 of them hurriedly said in a low voice. Although they were both protectors, their statuses couldn't be compared. The Yinlao's protector in front of them originally had the opportunity to be promoted to an elder, but he was very unhappy with those people in the elder courtyard. Therefore, he did not take the position of an elder and continued to serve as a protector. Look carefully, don't let anyone escape. Yes, Protector. The Yinlao's figure fell from the sky and fell down. Boom! Yin-yang balanced blade. Qi Feiyu's twin blades spiraled, as if cutting the world in front of him into 2 halves. The terrifying blade energy rushed toward the Yinlao's. The Yinlao's eyes flickered. In the face of this terrifying blade energy, an incomparably surging power pulsed between his raised palms. Boom! There seemed to be a mummified original spirit appearing behind him. After it appeared, it slashed down with its angry claws. It forcibly shattered the blade energy. Damn it! After the power of the 2 claws broke the blade energy, its momentum did not decrease and fell directly toward Qi Feiyu's head. Qi Feiyu could only block with his twin blades. Clang! The twin blades in his hands were directly shaken off. The difference in power was too great. Qi Feiyu's cultivation was only at the level of a 2nd-grade Yuan King, but the strength of the Yinlao's protector in front of him was at least at the level of a late-stage 2nd-grade Yuan King, or even at the level of a 3rd-grade Yuan King. Even if it was only a small difference, it was already a very terrifying gap. It would take at least 3 to 5 years or even more than 10 years of cultivation to cross this threshold. Therefore, the gap between them is much larger than you can imagine. In just one move, Qi Feiyu fell into a disadvantageous position. Qi Feiyu, who had lost his dual blades, could clearly feel a sense of crisis. The Yin Lao's protector attacked again. His figure trembled as he appeared in front of Qi Feiyu. Behind the pubic Lao's protector, a person wrapped in white bandages gradually appeared. Boom! The yuan power on his body transformed into a terrifying bandage and instantly wrapped around Qi Feiyu's body. You can also become my corpse servant. The pubic Lao's protector laughed loudly. Even though Qi Feiyu was trying his best to circulate his yuan power to resist the binding force, he was unable to do so. However, even the dragon-tailed fish behind him was entangled. Furthermore, it was also tightly binding him. Not good, the elder is in danger. When the disciples of the Qi family saw that their elders were tied up, they immediately became anxious. They wanted to rescue their elders, but the disciples of the Yin Yuan sect kept pestering them. You guys go and take the ore away first. Refining Qi Feiyu was not an easy task. At the very least, it would take a certain amount of time. After the Wuji sect and the Wuji Dao heard this, they immediately responded. Then, with a boom, they rushed toward the carriage. Boom! When they were more than 10 meters away, a palm blasted out. The carriage was instantly torn apart, and the horses in front were also directly killed. The sound of a heavy object falling to the ground rang out, and rice scattered all over the sky. As for this chest, it just so happened that it was hidden under the grain storage of this carriage. A top-grade primordial stone. A piece of top-grade primordial stone that has not been cut. When they saw the box, the limitless realm and the limitless path were clearly very shocked. At the same time, they were also extremely excited. Normally, the primordial stones that were dug out could only be used to maintain a livelihood. However, this piece of top-grade primordial stone was of a completely different level. Even after such a long time of digging, they were able to find this piece of top-grade primordial stone. Today, he finally managed to dig it out. It could be said that the Qi family had made a big profit. However, this piece of top-grade primordial stone that had not been cut could not be stored in a storage ring because the primordial Qi was too strong. It was impossible for a storage ring to contain the strong primordial Qi of this piece of top-grade primordial stone. Therefore, they had to use this method to transport it. Although they were extremely careful, they did not expect that the disciples of the Yin Yuan sect would dare to make a move in the city. Now, it seemed that the Yin Yuan sect must have done something in other places. Otherwise, why would the experts who came to support them have not arrived yet? The two of them surged out their primordial Qi like a huge cover, directly enveloping the heavy box. Drag it away. However, just as the two of them were about to turn around and drag the box away, suddenly, an aura came from the sky. Pa! A figure landed on top of the box. Suddenly, the box seemed to have increased in weight for no reason, trapping the two Yuan kings on the spot. What's going on? When the limitless Taoist turned around, he saw a long, black pipe pointed at his head. What is this? Wuji Dao could not see the situation in front of him clearly. Suddenly, he saw an extremely terrifying force erupt from the long black pipe. Boom! The overbearing force instantly attacked. It slammed into Limitless Dao's body and sent him flying out. Boom! This loud sound also alarmed everyone present. When Wuji saw his brother, Wuji Dao's figure was sent flying. Finally, with a loud boom, he fell heavily to the ground. Wuji Dao! Wuji Daoist shouted. Black smoke rose from Wuji Daoist's face. Seeing this situation, Wuji Dao's eyes were filled with grief and indignation. Even if Wuji Dao was not dead yet, his current state meant that he was on the verge of death. At the very least, he was severely injured. You're courting death. Wuji Dao also reacted. Someone had launched a sneak attack on them, and the person who had launched the sneak attack was the person standing on top of the box. Wu Jidao immediately unleashed his primordial chi and blasted it towards the person on top of the box. The aura was like an avalanche. However, when he looked over, the person on top of the box had already disappeared. Here. Li Zongjiu's figure appeared behind Wu Jidao. The furious dragon catcher in his hand was directly pressed against the back of Wu Jidao's head. Given Li Zongjiu's strength, it was really easy for him to kill these people. Even Lei Gong, who was a peak Yuan monarch, could only flee in defeat in front of Li Zongjiu. Thus, the people in front of him were even more vulnerable. Go down. Immediately, Li Zongjiu pulled the trigger of the Raging Flames Dragon Slayer in his hand. As the sound of the trigger rang out, the infinite space was blasted away. Boom! Chapter 633. Two loud bangs were heard. The people of the Yin Yuan sect and the Qi family were shocked. The disciples of the Yin Yuan sect were flabbergasted when they saw their two protectors get killed by a young man in a matter of seconds. How could this be? Since when did such a terrifying figure appear? Although the disciples of the Qi family were pleasantly surprised, they were not happy for long. The two guardians of the Yin Yuan sect had been dealt with, but they did not know who this young man was. The strength of this young man before them was clearly more threatening than the two great protectors. If Li Zongjiu were to deal with them, they would probably die even faster. Although he looked young, he had killed two Yuan monarchs in the blink of an eye. Even now, they still did not know whether this young man was an enemy or a friend. The people on both sides also stopped fighting for the spoils. Instead, they gathered around each other, as they had to face this urgent situation. Looking at Li Zongjiu in front of them, they had to be on their guard. The Yinlao's protector could clearly feel the invasion of an external enemy. When he turned his head, he saw two figures lying on the ground. A cold glint flickered in his eyes. He happened to see Li Zongjiu looking at him. He loosened his grip and released Qi Feiyu. Then, he turned his attention to Li Zongjiu. When he saw the item in Li Zongjiu's hand, a glimmer of light appeared in the Yinlao's protector's eyes. Your Excellency, could you be the famous Li Zongjiu in the city? The Yinlao's protector already had a guess when he saw the furious dragon slaying flame. Since they were in charge of a sect, they naturally had to pay attention to the wind vein. They had to pay close attention to any situation that had occurred in the city recently and any powerful weapons that had appeared. If they were to remain stagnant, they would only end up being replaced by others. This was the reason why the Yinlao's protector was able to grasp the news about the Qi family so quickly. Li Zongjiu's reputation had gradually risen recently. Almost everything he did was on a large scale. Therefore, the Yin Yuan sect naturally noticed this. In fact, it was because Li Zongjiu's style of doing things was very similar to that of the Yin Yuan sect. If they were interested, they could directly invite Li Zongjiu to join their sect. This was a very good thing. However, it seemed like the problem had become somewhat serious. Qi Feiyu finally broke free from his restraints and hurriedly moved his body to the side. The numerous Qi clan disciples also came to his aid. Of course, Qi Feiyu's gaze was still fixed on Li Zongjiu, who had just appeared, and the two corpses on the ground. Weren't these two people who were the guardians of the Yin Yuan sect? He Feiyu and Qi Feiyu. Qi Feiyu. This caused Qi Feiyu to feel a deep shock in his heart. He is Li Zongjiu. The name Li Zongjiu had appeared several times in the Qi family. Some time ago, Li Zongjiu had bought some primordial stones from the Qi family. At that time, the family head's actions were questioned by many people. However, now it seemed that Li Zongjiu's strength was worthy of the Qi family's goodwill. You are not bad to be able to call out my name. Today, you don't have to die. Scram, Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Before he made his move, he had observed the situation. The primordial stone under his feet was a true king of primordial stones. A casual cut of such a king of primordial stones would produce hundreds of primordial stones. Even if it was just some dregs, the effect would still be better than this primordial stone. The value of this primordial stone was beyond imagination. Originally, Li Zongjiu wanted to snatch it away. However, after knowing that it belonged to the Qi family, Li Zongjiu, as a man of principle, knew that he couldn't be too casual about this matter. If he snatched it away directly, wouldn't Li Zongjiu be too ungrateful? He might as well leave and give face to the Qi family. However, after the Yin Laos joined the battle, the Qi family's people would be wiped out. Considering that Qi Shaohun, the patriarch of the Qi clan, had a good taste, Li Zongjiu had decided to make a move. In fact, for Li Zongjiu, this was a very painful act. He was so generous that he didn't want such a big piece of primordial stone. For others, they might not be able to do this. After killing the two people, Li Zongjiu wanted to leave this sad place as soon as possible. However, looking at the Yin Lao's protector, it seemed like he didn't want to give up so easily. When the Yin Lao's protector heard Li Zongjiu's words, he was stunned. This kid was a little too arrogant. Did he think that he could scare off a veteran like him with just his name? Young man, your potential is not bad. How about this? Let's work together. We'll split this primordial stone in half. How about that? As for the people of the Qi family, once they are all dead, no one will know that it was you who did it. You can continue to live a carefree life in this city. My Yin Yuan sect will deal with the anger of the Qi family. The Yin Lao's protector spoke slowly. His words were clear and his tone was sincere. It sounded like he was really discussing countermeasures with Li Zongjiu. After all, this was the king of primordial stones. If all of it was absorbed, it would be enough for a peak Yuan monarch to break through to the Yuan emperor realm. If one could obtain such a powerful energy, it would be an invisible fortune. Qi Feiyu's eyes flickered when he heard the Yin Lao's protector's words. If these two monsters worked together, they would definitely die today. However, there was still a chance now. Qi Feiyu hurriedly said to Li Zongjiu. Brother Li, my family's young mistress has some friendship with you. Thank you for your help today. In the future, my Qi family will definitely reward you handsomely. This old bastard eats people without spitting out their bones. The people of the Yin Yuan sect are all despicable and cunning. Don't believe their words. Qi Feiyu shouted loudly and even brought out Qi Yanran. When Li Zongjiu saw that the two of them were about to start bickering, he raised his hand and gestured for them to stop talking for the time being. Don't worry. I owe your family head a favor. They won't be able to take away the item today. Li Zongjiu said. If it wasn't for the favor he owed, Li Zongjiu wouldn't have cared so much. He would have just taken action and snatched the item away. These people wouldn't even have been able to discover who had done it. This wasn't a difficult task. Qi Feiyu was more or less relieved when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. It seemed like Li Zongjiu was quite reliable. As long as they continued to stall for time, it would be even more advantageous for the Qi family. Even if the people of the Yin Yuan sect had some sinister tricks up their sleeves, the experts of the Qi family would definitely arrive in the shortest time possible. However, the Yin Lao's protector didn't think so. Just now, he was trying to persuade the Yin Lao's protector because he cherished talent. However, since the Yin Lao's protector refused to listen and even dared to spout nonsense here, the Yin Lao's protector couldn't be polite anymore. Since you intend to make an enemy out of my Yin Yuan sect, I won't let you have an easy time today. The Yin Lao's protector slowly stood up and gradually released his killing intent. Boom! Chapter 634. There seemed to be a white energy rapidly seeping out from under the feet of the Yin Laos. Swoosh! With a loud noise, the Yin Laos sensed an extremely terrifying energy coming from under his feet. With a flick of Li Zongjiu's finger, an invisible flame ignited in front of him. With a loud explosion, it immediately ignited the white yuan power in front of him, and the terrifying flame immediately pounced back at the Inke Laos. Boom! Flame! Do you think the flame can extinguish my yuan power? Dream on! Immediately, the Indi Laos let out a low roar, and the bandaged figure behind him also rushed forward. Wherever the bandaged monster passed, it discovered that the surrounding life force was rapidly withering. It actually possessed such an ability. When Li Zongjiu saw this, he was slightly surprised. After all, this kind of yuan power was rare. It seemed to be a kind of energy that could affect vitality, the power of exhaustion. However, in front of Li Zongjiu, this energy was still too weak. The thunder-beheading blade appeared in his hand, and lightning vibrated. Without hesitation, he slashed down, and the terrifying lightning instantly surged out. Rumble! Lightning covered the entire ground. There was a trace of horror on the Indi Laos's face. When he saw the terrifying lightning surging out, the Indi Laos secretly cursed in his heart. This was because his yuan power was most afraid of this kind of fierce and overbearing energy. It could easily destroy him. Come back! In front of the lightning, the Indi Laos immediately wanted to summon his yuan spirit. However, his yuan spirit had already transformed into a magnificent army, and directly rushed towards Li Zongjiu's lightning. In the blink of an eye, it was engulfed by the lightning. Puff! The Indi Laos protector suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His yuan spirit had clearly been completely destroyed in an instant. Li Zongjiu slashed down again, and a terrifying energy instantly enveloped the Indi Laos. This was too unbelievable for the Indi Laos. Li Zongjiu's yuan power cultivation was clearly only at the first-grade Yuan King realm, but he had actually defeated him. How could such a thing happen? Corpse Phantom Clone. The Indi Laos was not without means. Although his yuan spirit had been seriously injured and could not be used, the power of the move he had been brewing was still there. Immediately, something seemed to crawl out of the body of the Yin Laos and drilled out of its body. Kacha, Kacha, Li Zongjiu could not help but frown when he saw this mantis-like thing crawling out of the Indi Laos. It was not because the thing in front of him had become so disgusting, but it was because this fool had used such a precious method to refine it. It was really a reckless waste of resources. You used the doppelganger technique that you painstakingly cultivated to refine this thing? Fuck. Li Zongjiu really hated this kind of person who wasted resources. This was also an extremely wasteful behavior, and he wished he could directly chop off this person's head. I'll let you have a taste of the power of my night demon mantis. The pitch-black mantis moved, carrying a terrifying blade as it charged towards Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu also flicked his finger, and flames flew directly towards the mantis in front of him. Boom! The mantis did not stop at all and continued to charge towards Li Zongjiu at an incomparably fast speed. Kill him! The Indi Laos had absolute confidence that with the strength of his night demon mantis, he would definitely be able to kill Li Zongjiu with a single strike of his sickle. Qi Feiyu and the others were extremely nervous as they looked at Li Zongjiu's situation. Li Zongjiu came to save them, so naturally, they did not want Li Zongjiu to die like this. If Li Zongjiu died too early, the Indi Laos would still have enough time to kill them all and take away the items. The only hope was that Li Zongjiu could hold on for a longer time. The sickle of the night demon mantis is invincible. No one can block the sickle of the night demon mantis. Not only was it invincible, but it was also as fast as lightning and extremely fierce. No one could clearly see the speed of the night demon mantis. The refining method of this kind of doppelganger cost a lot. The reason why he chose the night demon mantis was to increase his lethality and obtain a greater chance of survival. When they were outside, they could only use these methods to ensure their safety. The two sickles in front of the night demon mantis were constantly swaying. Swish! When the sickle swayed, it seemed to show a shadow. When the shadow appeared, it also fell into Li Zongjiu's hand with a swish. Li Zongjiu raised his hand and easily caught the sickle of the night demon mantis. He actually caught it with his bare hands. When the Yindi Laos saw Li Zongjiu's action, it was shocked. The Yin Laos was shocked, as if it had seen the most incredible thing in the world. What? How is this possible? In the next moment, Li Zongjiu directly chopped off one of the night demon mantis's arms with his bare hands. When he chopped down, he directly changed the direction of the sickle and directly inserted it into the body of the night demon mantis. Suddenly, dark green liquid gushed out from the wound. Li Zongjiu also directly injected the obsidian fire into the body of the night demon mantis. Suddenly, the pitch-black mantis became a braised mantis. Damn it! What the hell is this monster? The Yindi Laos could see Li Zongjiu's action and immediately cursed. What the hell was wrong with Li Zongjiu's body? How could he be so powerful? Immediately, the Yindi Laos's figure leaped and directly fled into the distance. If it did not escape at this moment, it would not have a chance. Chapter 635. Wherever Li Zongjiu's gaze passed, the figures of these Yin Yuan sect disciples seemed to stop in an instant. At the same time, an extremely hot force quickly surged within their bodies. My hand is on fire. One of them suddenly saw a flame erupt from his palm. This flame burned directly within his body, so there was no way to extinguish it from the outside. No. While one of them was talking, he suddenly felt a terrifying flame erupt from his head. As he spoke, smoke rose from his head. Then, he saw the flame engulf his head in an instant. Boom! More than 20 experts from the Yin Yuan sect were directly burned to ashes by this terrifying flame. The Yin Laos, who had already fled far away, turned around and saw Li Zongjiu's vicious attack. Although he wanted to save his Yin Yuan sect disciples, it was already too late by the time he realized what had happened. Immediately, the Yin Yuan sect disciples were all burned to ashes. Not a single one of them was able to escape. The remaining Qi family disciples looked at each other in dismay when they saw this scene. This fellow, such a scene was truly terrifying. These people had nearly taken their lives just now. Each and every one of them was extremely ferocious. Furthermore, they were extremely strong, and were not to be trifled with. But now, they were all killed by Li Zongjiu with ease. In their eyes, Li Zongjiu's strength was simply way too frightening. What a terrifying mind power! In order to accurately inject so many flames into the bodies of these people, one must have a powerful mind power to control them. Although they seemed invisible, they were in fact tangible. During this process, these people were all burned to ashes. Therefore, Qi Feiyu was also quite shocked. The only regret was that the Yin Laos had escaped. However, Qi Feiyu also knew that if Li Zongjiu had wanted to kill the Yin Laos, it would have been a piece of cake. It was just that the Yin Laos had managed to survive at the very beginning. He had heard of Li Zongjiu's name before. Now, it seemed that this Li Zongjiu was indeed worthy of his reputation. He was eccentric and powerful. Everything he did was completely based on his mood. It was said that Li Zongjiu had once humiliated the ninth prince. However, this was only a rumor and could not be confirmed. If this spread to the ninth prince's ears, he would lose his head and ruin the ninth prince's reputation. How could he be let off so easily? Thank you for your help, Brother Li. Qi family's Qi Feiyu is very grateful. Qi Feiyu cupped his hands and said. Although there were still some injuries on his body, basic movement was not a problem. Now that the Yin Laos had been chased away, there was a more serious problem in front of them. Would Li Zongjiu be tempted by such a big piece of primordial stone? Also, was Li Zongjiu also spying on them all the way here? Unlike money, some money was not a necessity for practitioners. After mastering powerful strength, money would naturally follow. However, this primordial stone king was different. The value of this top-grade primeval stone could no longer be measured by gold yuan, purple yuan, and the like. The value that could be produced and the effect that could be achieved would make even an epic emperor go crazy. It was hard to say that they would not be too tempted. What if Li Zongjiu lost his mind at the last moment? With Li Zongjiu's strength, it would be easy for him to kill them. Judging from his performance just now, Li Zongjiu could easily kill them. Based on the performance, they would probably be wiped out even faster. Li Zongjiu just glanced at Qi Feiyu indifferently. Humph. After a cold snort, Li Zongjiu also jumped and disappeared into the night sky. At this moment, he naturally did not show him a good face. At first, Qi Feiyu was a little surprised that Li Zongjiu left without saying anything. But thinking about it, he admired Li Zongjiu even more. Such a big piece of primordial stone king was placed here, it made everyone envious and moved. Li Zongjiu was naturally moved. If he continued to stay, he might change his mind and directly take the primordial stone away. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, chose to leave without a word. He just left like that. Li Zongjiu's departure would make it easier for them to give up. At the same time, it would also make Qi Feiyu and the others feel relieved. In this way, there was no need to be so nervous. Seeing Li Zongjiu leave confidently, Qi Feiyu could not believe it. Qi Feiyu didn't dare to believe that there was actually someone who could resist the temptation of the King of Primordial Stones. He was really surprised. However, when he turned around, he saw that the ground had already been burnt to ashes. Qi Feiyu suddenly understood why Li Zongjiu did not want to let these people go. It was completely to vent his anger. But no matter what, the crisis tonight could be considered to have passed. This allowed Qi Feiyu and the others to heave a sigh of relief. Not only had they survived this calamity, but they had also managed to protect the supreme grade primal stone king in their hands. In addition, the two protectors of the Yin Yuan sect had died here. This battle could be said to be a complete victory. Of the three protectors of the Yin Yuan sect, 2 were dead and 1 was injured. The remaining disciples were all killed. Even the Qi clan, who had been fighting with the Yin Yuan sect for many years, did not have such a glorious record. Pack up everything. In this battle, no one in the Qi clan died. All of them only suffered some injuries. It seems like the Yin Yuan sect's plan wasn't to kill people. They just wanted to snatch things away. However, who would have thought that Li Zongjiu would appear halfway? Otherwise, they would have been able to get their hands on the loot. In that case, the Qi clan would have suffered a great loss. About 5 minutes after Li Zongjiu left, 3 figures flew over from the sky. Boom! 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 When the 3 figures appeared, Qi Feiyu and the other disciples of the Qi clan had their eyes shining. They finally welcomed the dawn. 3 tyrannical auras instantly enveloped the dilapidated carriage team below. Qi Shaohun landed on the ground. Beside him was Qi Yanran. There was also an old man, who was also one of the elders of the Qi clan. When the 3 figures landed, the disciples of the Qi clan immediately saluted. Clan head. Greetings, clan head. Qi Shaohun looked at the wounded disciples of the Qi clan and immediately released his Yuan spirit. An extremely thick longevity tree fell on the ground. The dense crown of the tree covered the people in front of him. Then, the longevity tree transmitted its life force to these people. Buzz! The disciples of the Qi clan immediately felt the burning pain on their bodies. A clear stream flowed through them, healing their wounds and dispersing the poison. This was the effect of Qi Xiaohuan's Yuan spirit, the longevity tree king. Thank you for your hard work. Qi Shaohun said in a deep voice. They were attacked by the Yin Yuan sect. Naturally, these people were also attacked fiercely. However, if it were not for the protection of the disciples of the Qi clan, the primordial stone king would have been snatched away. Clan head, please take a look, Qi Feiyu waved his hand. Immediately, 2 disciples brought 2 sacks over. The rest of the corpses were burned to ashes. However, these 2 corpses were slightly intact. Only their heads were slightly burned. Chapter 636. This is. Even Qi Shaohun couldn't recognize the 2 corpses. Qi Yanran went to distribute some healing pills to the disciples of her family. She frowned when she saw the 2 corpses, because the wounds on the corpses were somewhat familiar, as if she had seen them somewhere before. These 2 are the protectors of Yin Yuan sect, Limitless Realm and Limitless Tao. Qi Feiyu said. Qi Shaohun and the other old man were shocked and they heard Qi Feiyu's words. What, it's the 2 of them? If the 2 of them joined hands, it wouldn't be easy for you to defeat them with your strength. Qi Feiyu's dragon-tailed fish original spirit was actually not good at fighting. Most of the time, it was a kind of auxiliary enhancement effect. It could maintain a certain amount of output and support when many people were attacking, instead of fighting alone. Qi Shaohun had a whole new level of respect for Qi Feiyu since he was able to kill the 2 of them. Qi Feiyu smiled bitterly when he saw the admiration in the eyes of the 2 old men. It's fine if it's really me who killed them. If I had the strength, I would have told you that I didn't kill them. Qi Feiyu said. Not you? Then who is it? Qi Shaohun and the others looked at Qi Feiyu in shock. Could it be that he was a disciple of some family? Could it be that there were so many experts hidden among the disciples of some family? That would be too exaggerated. It's Li Zongjiu. Qi Feiyu said. Qi Yanran, who was distributing the pills, paused when she heard the name. He almost threw the pill to the ground and turned to look at Qi Feiyu in shock. The expressions of Qi Shaohun and the others were the same. Looking at Qi Feiyu, there was a trace of shock and suspicion on their faces. Could it be that you're old and muddle-headed, or did you see wrongly? Yin Yuan sect sent a total of 3 guardians to besiege us. In addition to the 2 who died, there was also a Yin Laos. Although he escaped, his fate was very tragic. His original spirit was destroyed and his doppelganger was destroyed. In addition, a total of 23 experts of Yin Yuan sect died in the hands of Li Zongjiu. Qi Feiyu slowly said. No one dared to believe that such a scene was happening right in front of their eyes. When they saw the 20-odd people burning, they looked like 20 firecrackers. Such a spectacular sight made people forget that Li Zongjiu had killed so many Sky Origin powerhouses in an instant. Although these people had yet to reach the level of a Yuan monarch, at least 5 of them were 6th-grade Yuan ancestors and above. However, they were unable to dodge Li Zongjiu's attack. Why is he here? Qi Yanran stepped forward and asked. Why would Li Zongjiu appear in a place like this for no reason? Why would Li Zongjiu appear in such a place? You're saying that the Yin Laos was defeated in his hands. In addition, the 2 guardians died in the hands of Li Zongjiu. What about our supreme grade origin stones? Qi Shaohun suddenly reacted. Could it be that this kid was here for the supreme grade origin stones? The supreme grade origin stones are still here. He said that he owed the family head a favor, so he returned the stones to us. Qi Feiyu said. Not only is he strong, but he's also loyal and loyal. He's a true man. Qi Shaohun and the others immediately felt heartfelt admiration for Li Zongjiu. This incident allowed everyone to clearly see Li Zongjiu's temperament. Although it was widely rumored in the city that Li Zongjiu was a cold-blooded animal who killed without batting an eyelid and liked to stir up trouble, Li Zongjiu's temperament was not something to be scoffed at. However, in the eyes of Qi Shaohun and the others, these things were a form of smearing Li Zongjiu's reputation. After all, Li Zongjiu had already killed your people, so there was no need to speak well of you. In fact, it was all relative. Therefore, one couldn't understand what kind of person he was just by listening to what he said. The corners of Qi Yanran's mouth curled up slightly. Normally, Qi Yanran's expression was cold and indifferent. However, when she smiled gently, it was as stunning as 100 flowers blooming, which made people feel extremely amazed. This guy seems to be not bad. This time, Li Zongjiu had saved the Qi family from a disaster. Moreover, he wasn't tempted by these things. Otherwise, just these things in front of them were enough to make Li Zongjiu go crazy. Even if Li Zongjiu was deliberately pretending, it would take a lot of courage for him to do so. Therefore, this time, Li Zongjiu's righteous behavior also surprised everyone. At least, in front of the super powerful temptation of this king of primordial stones, he was able to endure it. Such a firm will was really hard to say. In the eyes of Qi Shaohun and the others, Li Zongjiu had become even more important. However, in addition to admiring Li Zongjiu's tenacious will and unwavering will even in the face of great temptation, they also paid more attention to Li Zongjiu's strength. This was because if this king of primordial stones was taken away by Li Zongjiu, the Qi family would naturally have a way to get it back. After all, this king of primordial stones would offend the Qi family, which was not worth it. Therefore, as long as they could endure the heat of the moment, they would naturally be able to judge the situation in front of them clearly. However, what surprised them now was Li Zongjiu's strength. Just like that, those guardians were easily dealt with. Logically speaking, it would be considered good if they could hold on for a while. However, Li Zongjiu had actually killed them. Both Limitless Sect and Limitless Dao were dead. According to the explanation of the Qi family disciples, Li Zongjiu had used the Raging Dragon slaying technique to kill the two protectors in 2 moves. In addition to the fact that this weapon was very powerful, his strength was also quite important. Chapter 637. Even if Qi Shaohun thought about it over and over again, he might not be a match for Li Zongjiu. It was already very impressive to be able to cripple the Yin Laos. Qi Shaohun had also fought with the Yin Laos before. However, both sides did not use their full strength at that time. It was naturally not a problem to take down the Yin Laos, but they would also have to pay a certain price. In addition, there was no way to achieve this in a short period of time. Therefore, Qi Shaohun had such a conjecture in his heart. However, these things were not urgent to be clear now. At least, their relationship with Li Zongjiu was still good. If they could maintain this friendly relationship, it might not be a bad thing for the Qi family. However, Li Zongjiu has helped us so much. We have to return the favor with a big gift. Qi Shaohun thought in his heart. Not only did they have to maintain a good relationship, but they also had to maintain a better cooperative relationship. I heard that Li Zongjiu's Li Chamber of Commerce has joined the Baihui Chamber of Commerce. We can also take the opportunity to cooperate with them more. Oh. That's amazing. He already has his own Chamber of Commerce. Qi Shaohun did not expect that it was the elder beside him who said this. Otherwise, he would not have paid attention to this aspect. Immediately, Qi Shaohun could not help but become more curious about Li Zongjiu. This guy is really amazing. Although the group had resolved the crisis, they still had to remain vigilant at all times. Now that they had returned to the main road of the city, the danger had lessened by a lot. Although the Yin Yuan sect was arrogant, they only dared to stay outside the city. This time, they rashly broke into the city and took them by surprise. It was quite a risky thing to do. Li Zongjiu went all the way back to his manor. He landed with a whoosh and saw that in the courtyard, Du Lianyi was playing happily with the little girl, Do Ling, addicted to gambling at such a young age. Li Zongjiu saw the thing in front of Do Ling, It turned out that the two were talking about playing cards. What's wrong? If you're not convinced, you can come and kill me. Do Ling, slammed the table with a heroic spirit. She was like a veteran who had fought in the casino for many years. She learned this move from Du Lianyi. Sometimes, things like playing cards relied on bluffing. If you succeeded in scaring your opponent, then you had already succeeded more than half of the battle. Li Zongjiu was too lazy to argue with this little girl. I'm busy. After speaking, Li Zongjiu returned to his courtyard. First, he repaired his everlasting extermination array. Then, in the middle of the night, he asked Shadow Fox to help him get some stones. It wasn't until the second half of the night that the array was finally repaired. It was all Dou Ling's fault. Wasn't she too violent? She actually destroyed this thing just like that. Who would have thought that a little girl like her would be so violent? Such a precious thing could only be repaired once more. Li Zongjiu spent the entire second half of the night setting up the Yuan inscription array in his hands. The everlasting extermination array was also repaired at this moment. At the same time, Li Zongjiu made the array remember the aura of the few people in the courtyard. This way, the everlasting extermination array wouldn't attack them. Then, Li Zongjiu came in front of Lu Wenshan. At this moment, Lu Wenshan's body was riddled with wounds. His yuan bead was severely damaged, but at least his consciousness had recovered a little. At least, he was able to complete his sentence. You. What do you want to let me go, Li Zongjiu? Either you kill me or let me go. Lu Wenshan roared at Li Zongjiu in a deep voice. As he spoke, his eyes were filled with anger. It was as if he wanted to swallow Li Zongjiu whole. However, Li Zongjiu acted as if he didn't see it. It's simple. When your sect pays, I'll let you go. Li Zongjiu said as if this was a simple matter. I only asked for 100 upper-grade yuan stones. Your sect isn't even willing to pay. Tell me, what's the point of staying in a sect like this? Li Zongjiu said. At the same time, his face was filled with regret. He didn't expect Lu Wenshan to be in such a miserable state. It was as if his life's efforts were all fed to an ungrateful wretch. When Lu Wenshan heard this, he couldn't accept it. It was just 100 upper-grade yuan stones. It might be difficult for others, but for Spirit Valley sect, it was just a matter of a sentence. Help me hold it. Just when Lu Wenshan was feeling melancholy, Li Zongjiu stuffed a yuan stone into his mouth. Lu Wenshan thought that Li Zongjiu was going to give him the yuan stone to recover. However, he was pleasantly surprised when he saw some faint lines on the yuan stone. What is this? Come, open your mouth. Lu Wenshan subconsciously opened his mouth. Then, he saw Li Zongjiu shove something into Lu Wenshan's mouth. You. What did you feed me? This is a yuan stone. Once it leaves White Deer Manor, its energy will disappear. It's the one you're holding. In addition, the primeval stone fragment you just ate has formed a kind of energy connection with this primeval stone. Once it leaves a certain range, or if the energy disappears, then the primeval stone fragment in your body will form a hurricane in your body. As for the consequences, you know. Li Zongjiu said. The corners of his mouth curled up into an extremely evil smile. Who would have thought that there would be such a fun yuan rune array in this world? It could allow 2 yuan rune arrays to affect each other and coexist with each other. If any one of them had a problem, the other would suffer irreparable damage. When a piece of primordial stone shard formed a hurricane in one's body, one could easily imagine the outcome. Even having one's intestines pierced through was a relatively quick death. This shard would slice through one's intestines inch by inch and easily crush one's body. It was precisely such an outcome that just thinking about it gave him a splitting headache. No one dared to try it. How is this possible? How can there be such a vicious thing? Lu Wenshan stared at Li Zongjiu and said. Oh, I just bought a remnant formation scroll in the black market. After all, I'm worried that I will go out tomorrow. If someone saves you, I will lose out. Li Zongjiu said. Lu Wenshan's eyes were filled with an unprecedented fear. He never imagined that Li Zongjiu would actually have such a method to prevent such a thing from happening. To Lu Wenshan, Li Zongjiu was the devil that would control his life in the future. Oh right, you better not move because this link is extremely unstable. If you accidentally throw this yuan stone on the ground, it might explode. After all, I just learned it. Li Zongjiu said and patted Lu Wenshan's shoulder. I'm sorry. Chapter 638. Li Zongjiu left. Leaving behind a frightened Lu Wenshan on the spot, he wished he could strangle Li Zongjiu to death. Such a person could not be allowed to live. Originally, Lu Wenshan was also waiting for his own sect to rescue him. But now, it seemed that Li Zongjiu's method was to prevent Lu Wenshan from taking even half a step out of the White Deer Manor. If he were to leave, he would undoubtedly die. With Li Zongjiu's character, there was nothing he could not do. That day, he had already escaped very far away. Who would have thought that Li Zongjiu would chase after him all the way? Finally, Li Zongjiu caught him on the street. This made Lu Wenshan feel quite embarrassed. At the same time, he could lose his life at any time. This was what Lu Wenshan was worried about. As a person who had the chance to become a 6th-grade alchemist, he was not willing to die like this. After leaving the stable, Li Zongjiu went back to his room to rest for a while. The sky was slightly bright. Du Lianyi woke up from the bed and dressed up carefully. The hatred in her heart for these years finally had a day to vent. Even if Li Zongjiu could not take revenge this time, if she had the chance to see her enemy, she would do it herself. A delicate dagger was polished by Du Lianyi until it was shiny. Finally, the day has come, Du Lianyi murmured in her heart. Dou Ling studied the gambling cards in her room all night. This thing was really interesting to play. It looked like a simple prop, but it had a myriad of changes. Last night, Dou Ling also tried to use her mental strength to calculate the changes, but when she met an expert like Du Lianyi, she still lost. There was no chance of winning at all. Even if she used her mental strength to cheat, she could not win. This was what made Dou Ling depressed. Dong dong dong, there was a knock on the door of the manor. Yinghu went to open the door. Kun Erisher stood at the door and waited. During this period of learning from Sunyu, Kun Arashi's temperament had become more restrained. However, as a young talent of Kun Castle and the future hope of the Kun Castle, he had never let go of his dream of becoming famous in the Holy Flame. It wasn't easy for him to attend such an exchange banquet today. He could finally relax a little. They were worried that Li Zongjiu would forget the time, so they specially sent him an invitation. You are? Yinghu asked with a frown when he saw the young man in front of him. It was Kun Arashi's first time visiting Li Zongjiu's house. Wow, is this boss's mansion? This courtyard is really small. Lan Shan hadn't even walked in yet, but his face was already filled with disdain. Could it be that this boss didn't earn any money at all? How could he be in such a miserable state? Young man, who are you looking for? Yinghu said. Li Zongjiu lives here, right? He's my boss. Kun Erisher said. Who's your boss? That little brat? This time, the situation didn't happen again. If it happened again, Kun Erisher would probably be traumatized by Li Zongjiu's manner. Hey, you're also a student of Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, right? Dou Ling poked Kun Arashi's shoulder and said. Don't poke my shoulder. I'm a student of Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Kun Erisher said. Then do you want to play cards? Dou Ling suddenly said excitedly. Damn, what does it have to do with whether I'm a student of Heavenly Star Medicine Manor or not? That's not right, little junior brother. Your senior sister is asking you to play cards, how can you refuse? Come, we don't have to pay. Dou Ling had been studying for the whole night and was worried that she didn't have a partner to play cards with. No. Why are you my senior sister? Who are you? Kun Erishur didn't know Do Ling in front of him. Although Do Ling was very good looking, she wasn't Kun Arashi's type. He also couldn't directly touch her like this. However, Kun Erishur couldn't win against Do Ling In the end, the two of them and the wolf played cards in the courtyard for the whole afternoon. Kun Erishur was really surprised that this wolf knew how to play cards. Anything that had something to do with Li Zongjio was basically abnormal. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.